feel getting their baseball cap signed ahead of the game. We've also got our friends here as well from Hampshire Cricket Club who are going to be doing our Guard of Honour. They're getting into position as well, all ready for this one. They were the winners of our skills challenge on the pitch before the action earlier on this evening. But of course, don't forget to get a chance to get involved tonight as well on social media. Use that hashtag @cricket, give us a follow, and also the hashtag of #ItUp as well as we continue the countdown to the start of tonight's T20.
Yes, welcome to the Utilita Bowl, where it's match day 3 for both these sides in the T20 Cup. It's first against 8th, Hampshire, who are top of the South Group, against the defending champions Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire won the toss and they are going to bat first. Your commentary team this evening. A little later you will hear from the Hampshire and England disability player Anthony Clapham. But for the first part of this match, it's myself, and from BBC Radio Gloucestershire, it's Ed Seaborn. Ed, good evening.
Good evening, Kevin. It's lovely to be here.
We always love having you. Well, let's go through the two sides first. Let's go through your side.
Yes, so Gloucestershire coming with one change from the side that got summarily thrashed by Sussex the last time out. So they bring in Ajit Singh Dale, fresh from his Lions exploits, and he comes in place of the youngster Aman Rao. So Bancroft and Hammond, top of the order, that's pretty familiar. Darcy Short, a man who will certainly be pretty familiar with these surroundings, given that he's played for Hampshire before. Ollie Price, Jack Taylor, Ben Charlesworth, James Bracey behind the stumps, Matt Taylor, David Payne, Tom Smith and Ajit Singh Dale. Hampshire
are unchanged from the side that beat Surrey last night under the lights at a very leaden-skied oval. The match was interrupted at the end because of rain. They are Toby Albert, James Vince, Tom Prest, Joe Weatherly, Diavolt Brevis, who unfortunately, or good news for him, he's been selected by South Africa for a couple of test matches against Zimbabwe at the end of this month and beginning of next, which means that his stay here will be curtailed by a few group games. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen after that, but we'll wait and see. This is all quite new to digest. James Fuller, formerly of Gloucestershire, Benny Howe, also formerly of Gloucestershire, Chris Wood, Bjorn Fortain, another South African left-arm spinner who's in the place of Liam Dawson, who's playing for England tonight in the T20 International against the West Indies, Scott Curry and John Turner. Now, defending champions, it comes with a target on your back, Ed.
Yeah, well, that's certainly what Mark Elaine said before the start of the season, and so far, both sides that have taken aim at that target have hit the bullseye, so they need a win here tonight, with Kent having visited Bristol first up. That was a really exciting game, actually. Both sides getting over 200, which is not something that has been seen at Bristol outside of the international games, really. So there wasn't really very much to that one, other than just it was a good game and Gloucestershire came out the wrong side. Obviously, there was a lot that they wanted to improve on, but it wasn't all doom and gloom from the first game. Then the second match at Hove, which, as I say, they got thrashed. It was, I mean, it was not a bad bowling performance in the first innings, but bowled out in their second innings for just 93, and it was just, I'm afraid, a catalogue of poor shot making, which they're going to have to improve on. And Jack Taylor said in the post-match interview, we cannot keep operating at 50%, was one thing that came up actually a couple of times. So he was, you know, he knew how much improvement needed to be done. They've had a bit of time since Sunday to do a bit of extended training, which has, I'm sure, been welcome. So maybe a little bit more preparation time. We'll be hoping that that translates this evening. I did wonder whether that car was going to position itself right behind the bowler's arm for a moment, but it seems to have driven off now, unless I've just hallucinated a car. There definitely was a car out there in the middle, and whenever I'm on commentary, if there's a car anywhere near the action, it's going to get hit. that's happened in pretty much every game that I seem to commentate on everywhere. So
don't stand next to the car then.
Yeah, so whatever you do, don't bring your car into the ground on the same diamond there. But anyway, it seems to have disappeared. I'm sure there was a car. It was reminding me of the first T20 finals day here in terms of something driving around, because was it not the case that you could order takeaway pizza by a motorbike that went round the concourse for that first T20 finals day? Or maybe it was the first T20 match, but I'm sure I'm not making that up. That definitely happened.
I wasn't here because Hampshire weren't involved. Back 2008 that was, wasn't it, or something?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yes.
Because obviously all finals days now are at Edgbaston.
Yes. Oh, well, that'd be what it was. It was the first game between Hampshire and Sussex in 2003.
Oh, right.
Here,
okay,
I think that's what it was.
Your
for.
memory would be better than mine, that's for sure. I certainly can't remember that far back. We've heard a little bit about the Gloucestershire situation. A name in the Gloucestershire lineup, Darcy Short, the Australian left-hander, will be familiar to some Hampshire fans. He was here in 2021 playing some T20 cricket for Hampshire. He sort of did okay. And now, interesting, some couple of little stats. And Hampshire have won 2 out of 2. They sit top of the South Group already, which is unusual for Hampshire, even though they've had a great record in T20 cricket in the last decade and a half. To win the first 2 is fairly unusual because they normally leave it late. A bit like you guys did it last year.
Well, exactly. It's so often it's the way to do it, isn't it? I mean, it really was quite a Hampshire-y blueprint that Gloucestershire followed in terms of leave it right down to the last couple of days, maybe rely on a bit of help elsewhere, and then net run rate coming into play. They really ticked all the boxes last year, Gloucestershire, and then got into the knockout stages and dominated.
There you are. You peaked at the right time. You have to go all the way back to 2017 to find when Hampshire won their first 2 games in the tournament. In fact, they won 3 that year, so even if they win tonight, you're still looking that far back. And the other interesting stat is, and Ed, I know you know this, is that Gloucester have never won a T20 here. You're smiling as I say it.
Well, it's funny you should mention it, because it does tend to get mentioned quite a lot, doesn't it? But you know, there's been quite a lot of talk in the background recently about what the T20 Blast might look like next year, and some of the rumblings, and it's not official, but some of the rumblings about what might happen is that the old groups, in inverted commas, so the 3 groups of 6 that they used to play in, they might go back to that. So it could mean that Gloucestershire don't have to keep coming here. But what it does mean is that this might be their last chance to win a game here for quite a while. So they're going to have to try and break their duck as far as that's concerned this evening. I did think it was interesting that they've decided to bat first, because the forecast seems to suggest that later on might be a little bit iffy. It doesn't look... I mean, I had a look on the Met Office radar earlier, and it doesn't look as though there's an absolute definite band of rain coming over it. It's breaking up a little bit, so we might get a full game in anyway. But in general, sides that look at that sort of situation where you've got rain coming later tend to want to bowl first. So Gloucestershire are clearly not playing the forecast, they're playing what they want to do. Well,
they're playing the wicket. Actually, they would have looked at last week's game where Hampshire scored 230. Essex were bowled out for 100. Hampshire won the game by 100, which was an absolute mile. A few miles win, that is. That's certainly done great things for Hampshire's run rate, which may yet come into play come the end of the 14th game in the group. Paul Baldwin and Anna Harris are the 2 umpires. That was the countdown for them going onto the pitch, which they're about halfway as we look. The crowd is building. It doesn't feel as though it's going to be as many as last week. We had 8,500 here for the men's game. It was a double header. And in fact, for the women's, it was building up nicely in the afternoon. But the official figure that I was given was just about 8,500, which is a good number here. It creates a good atmosphere, and my word, it was a good atmosphere. We may not reach quite that same peak. It's not half-term. The weather forecast, as we've just been discussing, isn't quite as good. So all those factors may play a part. Just going back to that, yes, they've never won a game here, Gloucestershire. So they've had 8 games here. Not won any of them, and one of those was abandoned, so in 9 attempts.
In fact, the abandonment was my first game doing commentary on the BBC, and I remember it so clearly because of that. The players came down from the pavilion over there. They took about 2 steps onto the field, there was a massive crash of thunder, and that was it. They never got on, and it was hosing it down with rain about 10 minutes later, and it was well, as debuts go, it wasn't the best.
Not the best, no. That was 2016. Gosh,
that's a long time ago.
I think I've been doing them slightly longer, let's gloss over that, because you're right, that is an awful long time. So, are Gloucestershire going to win their first ever game here at the Utilita Bowl? Are Hampshire going to make it 3 out of 3? You all will find out over the next 2 or 3 hours. So we're going out on the live picture feed on the Hampshire Cricket website. That's also going back to the Gloucestershire Cricket website. We're also hopefully around the ground. That seems to be very temperamental. We're also online on the BBC Sport website and app, and we're also on all frequencies on BBC Radio Solent. Myself, Kevin James, Ed Seaborn. Later on you'll hear from Anthony Clapham. So here we go. Chris Wood from the pavilion end opens up. It's left armour to left hand batter as Miles Hammond lets that one go through to Toby Albert.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a look. First ball, Miles Hammond, the left-hander, Bancroft, the right-hander. This opening combination which really did score the bulk of Gloucestershire's runs last year, both around about that 500 run mark for the competition. Bancroft really hit his stride towards the back end and carried Gloucestershire through those knockout stages.
Here's Wood bowls. Miles Hammond drives on the up and it goes out. I think that's Fortain, the South African there at extra cover, who was there in that position a lot last night. The first bit of good news tonight is Stephen Clark has already emailed me, sonofcricket@gmail.com, to say that the earpiece is working tonight around the ground. So clearly the cable that I replaced from last week has worked.
Either that or we're just shouting so loudly that you can hear us even down in the seats.
He's at the far end, so that's a hell of a shout. As that's turned away on the leg side by Hammond. He's off the mark, so at Gloucestershire they are 1 without loss. It's a little breezier tonight than it was last week, so you may hear a little bit of wind effects, but so far the cloud is very high. There's almost a bit of sun as I speak. I think you're right. I think we're going to be all right for a large part of this game.
It was rather better actually looking once I got here than the forecast suggest. I was quite pleased to see the cloud seemingly get a lot higher, and you say even a couple of small gaps in it, which I wasn't expecting.
That's for sure. Right, Bancroft, the Australian, to face Wood. He's turned that down to fine leg. He's off the mark as well. Gloucestershire 2 without loss. Bancroft back, he was with you last year as well, wasn't he?
Yes. So this year he's taken on the captaincy in the Championship, but Jack Taylor still very much with the reins as far as this side's concerned. But yeah, second year of a 2-year deal that Bancroft signed, so his contract is up, but you would have thought, given the fact that he's got the Championship skippership, it's not just for the 1 year.
Definitely. Wood comes in again, and the ball just follows Hammond as he tries to give himself some room. He gets an inside edge onto the pad. Wood's quickly across to the leg side. Now, Hampshire in their familiar, very bright yellow tops, and Gloucestershire are also in yellow, but it looks as though the Gloucestershire kit has been washed with some colours in the washing machine.
It's funny because the Hampshire training kit this year is identical to what Gloucestershire's was last year. I thought it was Gloucestershire when they came out to warm up.
Here's Wood again. Hammond pushes forward, goes out to Fortain at extra cover. End of the first over. And Gloucestershire are 2 without loss.
Yeah, pretty circumspect start, and Hammond in particular playing that as though Wood was getting quite a bit of movement there, so they'll want to, even in a T20, they'll want to see that off a little bit. First, couple of overs, it tends to be that most sides just have a little bit of a look and then try and attack the back end of the power play. Of course, it sometimes means we're going to lose wickets that you're a bit behind the 8 ball. That's actually what has happened with both of Gloucestershire's batting power plays so far this year. They've not scored big in either of them, and even though they got 200 against Kent, it was basically all in the second half of that innings. They scored 140 runs in the back 10 overs, but only scored, I think, 63 in the first 10. So they need better starts, and as I said, that was not a problem at all last year. So it's funny how these things work out. It's going to be James Fuller bowling down the leg side. There's no touch on that from Bancroft. Goes through behind the stumps, and it's a wide, makes it 3 for no wicket.
Distant past, really, now.
Yes.
When Fuller was a Gloucestershire player.
Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about last year.
Well, yeah, that does seem like a distant past, but that's just an age thing. 2011 to 2015, Gloucestershire player in T20.
And of course, well, particularly Benny Howell, but also James Fuller doing that number on Gloucestershire last year. That was a fantastic game of cricket with Benny Howell ramping the winning runs, needing 4 off the last ball, ramped David Payne to the boundary. In goes Fuller to Bancroft, who works this one up to mid-on, and there is no run.
Yes, it was a thrilling game. Hampshire chasing 176. And Benny Howell, he just moved across the stumps, didn't he? And just little lap.
It was, even from slightly outside off stump, because I think Gloucestershire sort of knew he was going to play the shot, but they still thought, okay, let's hide it outside the off stump so he can't play it, and he still played it and still hit it for 4. It was an amazing game of cricket. Gloucestershire still looking for a boundary here as Fuller bowls, Bancroft on drives, and again straight to mid-on. So no runs off the bat actually yet this over. And Gloucestershire, who, as I say, the power play batting-wise might be a particular focus, but it's hard to really read too much into 2 games at this stage. But even early on, you lose your first 2. You've got this game here. You've got Somerset next, local derby on Friday.
That's your big one.
Big games coming up. Fuller into Bancroft, clips it in the air on the bounce to short mid-wicket, who knocks it down beyond Fortain, but they are able to come through for a single on the ricochet off his, by the looks of things, his chest that he's clutching, or even his collarbone. 1 run is the result, 4 without loss.
Awkward bounce. He's a good fielder, actually. On last night's evidence, I think he's going to fit in. He's only around for 3 games while Dawson's away with England. By the way, England are batting against the West Indies, so we might not see Dawson feature for a while. England 82 for 1 in the 7th. But he looks a really, an enthusiastic fielder, and he's a good left-arm spinning option. He really is.
Fuller over the wicket to Hammond, full wide. He flails at a drive, misses it, and it's just within the wide marker. So another dot ball, and Gloucestershire 4 without loss with 2 balls to go in the second over. I saw Bjorn Fortain picked up by Hampshire, and you just sort of thought there's a cricketer that probably ought to have played a bit more around the world than he has, and it, as you say, he's a really quality operator, and actually a pretty much like-for-like replacement with Dawson. Fuller bowls, Hammond backs away, slices it over extra cover. It's going to be 1 bounce and over the rope for 4. So Gloucestershire have their first boundary. It wasn't out of the middle from Hammond, but it's still nearly carried all the way. 8 without loss.
Yeah, one thing you'll find with this wicket here, being a hybrid wicket, the ball will come through nicely. So you'll get value for your shots with the ball kissing the surface and still maintaining its pace. That's why Hampshire got 230 last week. Once you get in your stride, the batters will like this.
Yeah, well, these 2 batted well in that game we're talking about last year. They put on, I think, 125 for the opening wicket. As Fuller bowls Hammond across his stumps this time, turning this one backward of square on the leg side. Not a great deal of bat on that, so just the single that ends the second over. 7 runs from it, so still a good start for Hampshire with Gloucestershire 9 without loss. Notice again on the scoreboard it's got Hampshire Hawk, the Hampshire Hawk.
Yeah, there's not enough letters.
No, there isn't.
There's been occasions this year, and I'm trying to think of 1 or 2 of the championship games where there was some weird lettering coming up because you couldn't get all the words in. I'm trying to think. If anybody in the crowd that's listening, because I know the earpiece is working, thank you, Joe, as well, who's messaged me to say that the earpieces are working. It's nice to have those sort of messages for a change. Here comes John Turner, who's bowling to Hammond, who works it up to mid-on. They'll take a single, 10 without loss. And 1 or 2 of you around the crowd that are here regularly will know some of the weird lettering that's been up there for visiting teams. So if you can just remind me, that would be nice. silentcricket@gmail.com.
Gloucestershire have faced John Turner already this season up at Old Trafford when Turner was on loan up there. I think he might just enjoy bowling on this pitch a little bit more than that pitch at Emirates Old Trafford.
Yes. Turner's over the wicket and he's gone for a scoop, and they're half shouting for a caught behind. Well, Bancroft was going to originally play it on the leg side. He ended up trying to scoop it over on the offside and did neither.
Yeah, that was good bowling from Turner. I don't know where he saw him go early, but I mean, Bancroft would still feel that that's a shot that he could hit, but actually with the fielder back on the boundary there, it's probably a good job that he missed it, because that could have ended up straight down his throat.
Couple of wickets for John Turner last night in that win over Surrey. Drives on the up. It's not well timed, but they'll pick up a single wide of mid-off. Total moves on to 11 without loss. Bancroft has 3, Hammond has 7.
So again, we've reached this point that Gloucestershire have reached each of the last 2 power plays where it's time now to start going, but you know, they can't. If you lose a wicket now, then you put somebody in a real pressure position early on, so the boundaries have got to be found, but they can't lose wickets.
Here's Turner. That's hit over the top, over cover. That's going for 4. That'll be, well, 2 or 3 bounces at least. Hammond's given himself some room, opened the face of the bat. All those fielders in the covers are in the ring. Nice shot.
Yeah, well, there's one of them, and Hammond picking up 2 boundaries now in pretty similar fashion, really, just backing way away. And in fact, that ball is probably on about leg stump, but such is the room that he's created for himself. And again, not middled, but he doesn't have to middle it, because, as you say, everybody up on the offside there, and they've changed the field now.
Yeah, immediately there's a deep backward point in response to that. There's a deep square leg as well. Those are the 2 fielders out in the power play. Let's hit up in the air. Could be caught mid-on. Should be caught at mid-on. James Vince will take it. And that is the first wicket. Hammond goes. James Vince, all he had to do was keep his eyes on it, which he did, all the way into the hands. Gloucestershire 15 for 1.
A big loss, and especially after Hammond had just hit the second boundary for him, been feeling as though he was starting to get his eye in. And actually, I think Hammond pretty much thought with Turner there, because he backed away and had hit over the offside, and I think he was thinking, well, Turner's bound to bowl this next one straight, because he's not going to want to get hit over the offside again, but just mistimed it straight up in the air. I'm not exactly sure why it went straight up in the air, but it did. And it was the only question was whether whatever mid-wicket was doing was going to put James Vince off, because for a moment it looks as if he was running towards him and then made a really theatrical gesture as though, no, I'm not going to go for this, this is your catch. And I thought maybe that was going to put him off, but it didn't. He held on, and Darcy Short comes out to the man from down under.
I presume that's his choice.
It must be.
I have no idea. As mentioned earlier, he played for Hampshire in the T20 in the 2021 edition. Played 12 matches for Hampshire, 300 runs at 26. Had a high score of 69. He played in the quarter-finals, but with the finals day being in September, he wasn't around for that, so didn't actually complete in the finals day. Hampshire lost the semi-final to eventual winners Nottinghamshire, and immediately he's playing and missing outside of the off-stump. 34 years of age now is Darcy Short, and 15 for 1 are Gloucestershire after 3.
Yeah, that was a nice delivery to bowl somebody first ball. I still can't get over this. Are we going to have individual walkout songs for every single player? It's like the darts, like is Simon Whitlock walking out there. I think Simon Whitlock walks out to that, the wizard. So I'm going to see some wizardry from Darcy Short here. Way.
He's locally based. Whitlock, Waterlooville way.
Is that right? Didn't know that. Okay, very good. And Short out with his fellow Western Australian as Bancroft faces up and clips this one straight to mid-wicket. He's in pretty close there, and there is no run as Chris Wood has switched ends and bowling his second over, and Gloucestershire still on the go slow, with the current run rate now dipping down below even 5s. So the pressure very much on Bancroft. 3 from 6. Fine leg back, square leg back. He tries to wallop this one. I mean, that was a really bludgeoning attempt to try and murder it through the leg side. He's really not got much of that at all, and it goes up towards mid-on, and he looks like he's really fighting it, is Bancroft. He's tried to time it and hasn't really found the timing, so he's just thought, well, I'm just going to grit my teeth and try and heave it, and that hasn't seemed to work either. 15 for 1. Wood in and bowls to Bancroft, who again tries to smash it away through the leg side. Is going to get extremely lucky. Gloucestershire will pick up 4, I think, leg byes. Yeah, straight off the right hip area, I think, and down for 4 fortuitous runs, 19 for 1.
Well, he got the result he wanted, but actually not the way he wanted.
No.
4 runs is 4 runs, isn't it? Doesn't matter what part of the body it comes off.
No.
Or the bat, or the glove.
Doesn't make him feel any better, though, as he still looks up at the board and sees 3 off 9. But at least he's still there, and 4 runs have been taken. Wood over the wicket, backing away Bancroft, hammering that away. Maybe that's the shot that gets him going. On the pull shot, 2 bounces and 4 through mid-wicket. And he tried to test him out with a short delivery, and I think he's probably regretting that choice. 23 for 1.
Yeah, I think Wood knows that Bancroft's actually going after it now. It's almost like he's trying to play a shot of ball. My word, he's right outside leg stump. As he hits that one, he's almost on the what's that line called? I don't remember. Return crease. So thank you very much. Only played about 1 million games.
23 for 1. Edged and short of keeper, and that will go for 4 as well. There's nobody down on the deep third boundary. There's no slip. And Bancroft riding his luck a couple of times this over, but it's 3 boundaries in a row, one way or another. 27 for 1.
Just watching this again, did it carry? Ooh, half volley.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he probably did just drop short.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to take. To get the gloves underneath. One thing to get fingers underneath, to get gloves underneath, even harder.
And to get that webbing under there. Last ball of the 4th over, Wood into Bancroft, who, having taken 3 boundaries in the over, is quite happy just to work a single through the leg side out to deep square. And so 13 runs off the 4th over, and that's exactly what Gloucestershire needed. It's not exactly been done completely the way that they were aiming for, but they've got the outcome that they wanted. A big over for that 4th over. It's 28 for 1.
Yeah, being a hybrid wicket, there's a bit of pace and a bit of bounce there. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. The Essex boys, I know they had to chase a very big total last week, but they never really got on top of it. You don't tend to face bowlers on this sort of pitch. A bit of bounce, bit of pace.
Yeah. It's quite different from the Bristol pitch, for example, where you're not going to get that pop off a length.
Well, this wicket's completely different than the rest of the square. That's down the leg side. I think it's flicked the thigh pad, so it's not called a wide. That's a good stop. Really good stop from Toby Albert behind the stumps. Alan Groves has emailed, very impressed with the results of the 2 games so far on a Hampshire point of view. Also, good luck to Liam Dawson on England duty today. That's right, we'll keep you up to date with that. Thanks as always for the excellent commentary, says Alan. Always nice reading those out.
Well, it is, especially only 4.1 overs in. We're obviously off to a good start.
That's right, yeah, we've got to keep it up now, Ed. Here's Turner, bounding in and bowls, giving himself some room there. Doesn't time it, Bancroft, hits it into the ground. Ball bounces away to backward a point.
Yeah, I mean, they got a short ball there, and it has been the one thing this first couple of games with Bancroft, that cut shot, which is normally just Mr. Reliable for him, well, old reliable, I suppose is what they call it, isn't it, that sort of thing. He's just not quite been getting that away.
Not yet. Bancroft's 12 of 14, facing Turner again. Bowls, that's cut away. Has he found the gap? He has. And that will be 4 runs. Again, not out of the middle of the bat, but he's throwing the bat at the ball. So he's getting quite a bit of bat on it. It's just not pinging off the bat as far and as quickly as he would like.
No, it's funny because off the bat I thought maybe a couple, but the outfield seems rapid. So you're clearly not going to have to middle it to get 4s. He's just, as you say, found the gap just well enough, and it has flown.
Brevis was flat there at square cover. He's trying to pull that away, and that's gone through him. That's good pacey delivery there from John Turner. Simon Young has messaged, talking of beyond 14, with Diervolt and Luandre Pretorius both now called up by South Africa. Do you see Bjorn staying on further, especially with Toby keeping and batting well? I don't know, Simon, actually. That's an interesting one, because 14 is basically replacing Liam Dawson. Hampshire are going to lose 2 very, very handy batters. My guess is, well, let's hope there's some others around. Here's Turner, length ball. He uses the pace nicely. Brevis is after it. He will pick it up just inside the rope. Slides it back. He's already a crowd favourite after his innings last week. Can't do anything wrong. Even, I'll tell you what, honestly, I'm probably not giving any confidences away, but I've been following the Hampshire women around, in between these games, and when I've been interviewing them after the game, and 1 or 2 have been, around, they say, "Can't wait to see Brevis bat next."
Well, I think it was one of the first things I said to you when I arrived today.
Everybody talks Brevis. Yeah. It's all about Brevis. Here's Turner. In again. So worked. Oh, it's called! Oh, yes! What a catch, James Fuller. Inside edge of Bancroft, round the corner, it flew. And it went to his left. And Fuller flew as well. And fortunately, his hands and the ball met. And the ball stayed in. 34 for 2.
Wow, I mean, that has really travelled, that inside edge from Bancroft. It's travelled better than some of his boundaries. That has flown to short fine leg, and I thought it was past Fuller, and to be honest, I think it was slightly past him when he took the catch, and not much time to react. Bancroft has to drag himself off, having just sort of got going the last couple of overs. Still searching, I think, for his best stuff, Bancroft. I don't think there's too much doubt about that, but he had at least taken a few boundaries the last couple of overs, and now Gloucestershire lose another and have a pair of batters out for the last over of the power play, which they'd like to be going after, but they probably can't particularly, because both Darcy Short and Ollie Price have yet to score. And in fact, Darcy Short's only faced the one ball that he was fairly and squarely beaten with. So be interesting to see how they play this last over here. Gloucestershire, are they just going to keep going or be a bit more circumspect? It's Scott Curry into the attack, bowling right arm over, and Short runs this away through backward point. Fielder's back on the boundary out there, so just the single. Gloucestershire 35 for 2.
Ollie Price, the new batter, 51 of 26 in that defeat by Kent.
Yeah,
at your home ground. But must have batted well.
Yeah, he did. That was actually his first T20 50, which caught a few of us by surprise, because he'd had a couple of real signature innings against Somerset last year, both to win local derby games, but actually sort of did a double take that neither of them were quite a 50. He drives and he misses at his first delivery there. He stepped into that one quite confidently, but again, there's just that little bit of extra bounce. He thinks that's a length that he can drive, and then it just goes over the top of his attempt to hit it away through the covers.
Scott Curry 2 for 17 from 4 overs last night at the Oval. Bowled really well, bowled well here in the game against Essex. You'll find some very clever changes of pace if you look closely.
Curry into Price, turns into the leg side, quick single there. Brevis, one-handed pick up and a throw. Has a fire at the stumps at the striker's end and misses them. I think Short would have been home anyway. Just the 136 for 2. I don't think I've ever really seen Scott Curry bowl badly. He also, in a championship match last year, came in as a night watchman and scored about 70 odd for Leicestershire in a game at Grace Road. Curry bowls to Short, and that's right into the body, giving Short absolutely no room to free his arms. It's just a dot ball pushed away to point.
Spoke to him last night after the win over Surrey. Spoke really well about the game, but also about his time at Leicestershire and how much it's helped him. He was on a season-long loan. He played 12 T20 games, said how much that helped him and gave him confidence in tight situations, which of course these players come up many times.
2 balls remain in the power play, and that will only be a single as well, as Curry just immaculate in his line and length. Again, Short's got to take quite a big risk if he's going to try and whack that one through the onside, and there's really nothing that he can do to get that through the offside other than what he did, which is take a single through backward point. 37 for 2.
Yeah, and if you want to listen to that interview, it's on the Hampshire Cricket website, and it's also on the our X feed at Solent Sport.
Last ball of the opening 6. Curry bowls, backing away Price and mistiming that completely. He's waiting for that to get to him, and it just never quite got to him, and he almost ended up chipping it towards mid-wicket. There is no run. Gloucestershire's power plays so far this season: 37 for 2, 35 for 3, and now 37 for 2 again. But I suppose the only bit of good news is the 37 for 2 came in the game where they went on to get 200, so they're going to have to hope for something like that.
Thank you very much, Ed. He'll be back shortly. It'll be Anthony Clapham joining me, Kevin James, for the next 6 overs or so. Anthony Clapham, you'll have heard him before if you're a regular Hampshire listener and watcher. He plays for the Hampshire and the England disability team. How are you?
Hello, how you doing?
Very well. This is your first T20 game.
It is, yeah. This is what I play for England PD, so should be a bit more accustomed to this.
Yeah.
Great start for Hampshire, I think. If you're for Hampshire fans, it's looking from the side there, the ball seems to be swinging, seaming as well, which is good.
There's a little bit there, isn't it? James Fuller switching ends from the pavilion end. His first over went for 7 from our commentary end. He's swinging and missing outside the off stump. Is Darcy Short. Yes, myself and Anthony have been messaging. The first thing that Anthony messaged me after the game last week was, "Told you that Brevis could play."
Yeah, I've been watching him when he was playing for South Africa under-19s, and just he's a superstar, isn't he? And you can just tell. I heard you say earlier he's a fan's favourite here already, and he was diving for the ball over there earlier. He's got so much energy. Really good to see.
He has. 37 for 2 in this 7th over as Fuller comes in and bowls to Short once more. Short drives wide of mid-off, and that should go for 4. That's a nice shot.
Yeah, great shot through the covers there. That's watched a fair bit of Darcy Short in the Big Bash for Hobart. He obviously played for Hampshire for a bit as well, didn't he? So he's usually pretty good, or pretty strong, sorry, on the square of the boundary, cut shots, pull shots, but that was a nice cover drive there.
And Hobart, of course, won the Big Bash this year.
Yeah. That seems like a long time.
It does,
long time ago, doesn't it?
Seems like about 5 seasons ago,
Yeah,
but it was only January, is it? Was it finished now? I think they tried to shorten it a little bit.
So much cricket going on, isn't there?
And Jimmy Adams, the Hampshire coach, was assistant coach there for the Hurricanes. Short works that into the gap on the offside, and there's a quick single taken. Short moves on to 7, 42 for 2. Just a word about the crowd. It is a little down on last week, 8,500 there was last week, but it looks like there's a group of doctors or somebody to our right in white coats. Are they doctors there, Anthony?
Well, they're wearing animal heads. I saw there was a chicken head, so maybe some butchers down there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not doctors then, because I'm not sure if you were due an operation, you'd want to see that walking into the theatre. They've got the white coats, but that's about as near as they get. Here comes Fuller, bowls, and is edged. It's gone quickly down to 3rd. Fortunately, John Turner is down there, and it's just a single.
It's definitely a fair bit going on out there, isn't it? I was watching Bancroft there, struggling a bit. I think he's had a bit of a slow start to the tournament with a few low scores, but found the outside edge a few times, didn't they, Hampshire? And just seem to be doing a fair bit here. So Scott Curry's back as well, which is good to see. 20 wickets last year for Leicestershire.
Yeah, he had a good time there, that's for sure. Enjoyed talking to him last night, actually, just about his time at Leicestershire and how he's hoping to maybe be back for Scotland during the winter. Some big tournament to come up. That's worked off the back foot by Short down to 3rd. They're going to run 2. They're going to take the throw on of Chris Wood. Good throw, but good running as well. Yeah.
Is it the World Cup qualifiers? Is it 50 overs?
I think it is. I think he said next February or something.
Okay.
If off the top of my head, we talked about a lot of things, but he's played a couple of. He broke into the side March of 24. But he said they are involved in games at the moment, aren't they? But of course, a bit like Brad Wheel, who plays for Scotland, the counties take precedence during the summer. But he's very much hoping to join his brother in the Scotland side during the winter. That's played late with an open face by Short, down to 3rd. He's into double figures, 46 for 2 at the end of the 7th over. Gloucestershire winning the toss, selecting to bat first.
We speaking off air earlier as well. Apparently before the game last week, we had the Hampshire ladies playing, and Brevis was on the balcony. He was obviously staying here, and he was shadow batting throughout the game. I think he was just itching to get out there. And I heard your interview as well last week. Obviously hit the first ball for 6. There they are.
Yeah, as a duck.
What's pigeon? A seagull. That was
a seagull. Yeah.
It's good to see. It was a half term last week as well, so there's a fair few children, school kids.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a good crowd. We're a little bit down. I don't know what we are. I'm not very good at estimating crowds. I would say 6.
Yeah, I think
Do you
someone
reckon?
said 5,000-6,000.
5, 6, yeah.
We had a lot of rain this week. So yeah, it's nice to have a bit of a dry spell. We've got a change of bowling. First bit of spin today. So we have the left arm spin. He's going to go around the wicket for Fortune. To left-handed Darcy Short. Comes in, darts into the pads. It's going to be a shout. Pitched outside leg, maybe. Keeper's it's gone up. Let LBW catch. Bit of everything the first ball there.
Almost hit him on the top of the head, Toby Albert. It's difficult to know where those balls are going once it's ricocheted, isn't it?
Good start, though.
I think even the crowd was shouting at him. It's over there. It's up there.
As he comes in again. A bit shorter this time. Dives into the. It's not a great place when you're bowling. You're diving into that used wicket there. Hopefully not. No blood coming through. Got a deep square leg, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, and a cover. Pretty orthodox field for outside the power play. But 2 dots to start with. 46 for 2 as he comes in again. Tries reverse sweeping this time, misses. Another dot. Albert sort of parries that into the floor. It's always difficult, isn't it, I guess, with the keeper when you're trying to reverse sweep it and you can't see the ball at all. You're kind of just guessing where it's going.
I'd want to get out of the way.
Yeah.
I used to be a keeper when I was very young.
Did you?
Yeah, it can be hard.
And you saw sense and thought.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Comes in a bit short this time, and Darcy flicks off his legs to deep square for 1 run. But a good start here for Fortune. How are you pronouncing it? Is it
Fortain?
Fortain.
Yeah, I asked Eddie Birrell actually a little while ago. So it is Fortain. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know you love watching your franchise tournaments during the winter. Have you seen this guy a bit?
Yeah. He bowls pretty quickly for a spinner, but for white ball cricket, it's what you want really. You don't want any floaty sort of spin. He comes in now to Ollie Price, who sweeps. Saw a bit of him as well when we travelled to India a few years ago, and he was out there for the Lions. Really good player for the future. It's good to see Eddie Jack in the Lions as well, isn't it?
Yes, he's been doing well, hasn't he?
He's managed to keep his place, hasn't he? So excited to see how he goes this week.
Hampshire pace bowler who played in the T20s, didn't he, last year for Hampshire?
He did. 48 for 2 in the last over 4. He's flicked off his legs, probably going to be 2, going to push for 2 here. Again, sliding out there from Tom Press, I think that was. Completes the over. 50 for 2. That brings us 50 off the 8th over. Is this the same wicket as last week? Kev?
Yes, it is, yeah.
I've heard it was an absolute belter. It must have been soaring over 200. And
well, Essex might not say it was.
Yeah, true.
Looks like they're throwing some shirts in the crowd there, some yellow shirts. Honestly, I'm not joking. During the women's game at the Oval yesterday, Hampshire women and Surrey women, there wasn't, I mean, it was a horrible forecast, although they managed to get the whole game in. But the people throwing the T-shirts into the crowd, literally you were guaranteed a T-shirt. If you missed out, you were unlucky.
That's good though, isn't it? Yeah. Something a bit different. I saw a car was driving around the outfield before the game as well.
Yes, Ed was mentioning that. Yeah, I didn't.
The groundsmen were too happy about that.
No. Well, I very nearly asked you the make of the car, but of course, as part of our transmission is on the BBC, it's probably just as well that I didn't ask you that. 50 for 2, 8 gone, 12 to do, and we got Benny Howell, the former Gloucestershire all-rounder, and he's driven. Oh, that's a horrible bounce in front of James Vince, and somehow, miraculously, he's thrown his hands up and managed to stop what might have been at least a single. That was a wicked bounce in front of him. There's a real sort of scuffed up area at the end of the one of the pitches there. Yeah, you are. Howell in the game. That's a driven, and Vince has thrown himself to the right and picked that one up. Get past that.
The sun's given him a new leaf of life, I think.
Fantastic.
I love watching Benny Howell bowl. Every ball's different pace.
It is, isn't it? It's all slow, but it doesn't matter. It just comes out of different parts of his hand as Price manages to find a gap off the back foot, and he's got a single out to deep point.
Yeah, so skillful.
Fields.
So skillful. Someone I would probably be closer to. I'm not a quick bowler at all, but I'd love to do sort of slower balls, Yorkers, and that's exactly his game, isn't it? And he's done well actually in T20 franchise cricket, hasn't he?
He's played a lot over the years. This is his 244th T20 match.
Wow.
Today, and he played in 119 for Gloucestershire. That's driven off the back foot, half stopped at extra cover by Vince. Well, he's let himself down there, James Vince. Didn't pick that one up cleanly by his own high standards in this over. Single taken, still a good bit of fielding though. He's all over the place, James.
Great to see James Vince. I'm sure the Hampshire faithful are happy to see him back as well.
I'm not sure if it was his first ball, but it may have been his second ball where he caressed a ball through the covers last week, and it was like, James Vince.
He's back.
And off the back foot there, Ollie Price. There's a gap out there in the covers. He's found it once more. Moves on to 5. 53 for 2 coming towards the end of the 9th over. So far so good with the weather. The clouds are staying nice and high, and there's almost a glimmer of sun. In fact, if I look across the outfield, I think there's a little bit of sun on parts of it. Not sure how long it'll stick out for, but that's pushed up towards deep mid-off by Darcy Shaw. Almost walks through for a single. 9 gone, and Gloucestershire are 54 for 2. Good over from Benny Howell.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what Hampshire would be happy with. I think with Gloucestershire, they're obviously looking to milk the bowlers at the moment, trying to get sort of run a ball and then try and capture on the rarity that there's any bad balls. But so far Hampshire haven't bowled any bad balls and kept them to 54 for 2, which I'm not going to say, well, you're thinking a normal game of cricket, T20 is below par, but obviously both teams have to bat on this.
Yeah,
the next 3 overs could be quite key.
Yeah, I just think it's as much Gloucestershire not used to batting on a pitch like this as much as anything. I mean, Hampshire, I think, again, have bowled well.
Fontaine continues. Left arm around. He sweeps Darcy short to deep backward square again for 1. His pressure comes in and into Toby Albert. I haven't actually seen a lot of Toby Albert keep, actually. Used to seeing him at first slip in the championship games. Has he been keeping it right so far?
Yes, he has, yeah. I said to somebody earlier, actually, I've not noticed him behind the stumps. That's a good
very
keeper.
Good, yeah, that is very good. Right-hander Ollie Price, and he tries to slog sweeping this time, and field set for that. For just 1 run, and amazing catch I saw earlier from Fuller at short fine leg off John Turner.
Breathtaking, wasn't it?
Really good. It's great to see John Turner back as well. It's my favourite player last year.
Yeah.
Just slightly ahead of Dawson. But,
controversial.
I know, he's exciting, isn't he? Young, fast bowler. Oh, he's played a missed. Bit fuller this time, bit quicker from Fontaine.
Well, hasn't missed the stumps by very much, has
Yeah,
it?
sort of Darcy Short's eyes lit up there. Trying to hit it over extra cover. Fortunately for him, he's missed everything. As Fontaine comes in again. Slower this time as Darcy Short rocks back on the back foot, cuts it to deep cover for the single. And this again, Hampshire will be really happy with this. Dots and ones are very, very good at this stage of the game.
You're right. So when you're bowling in your games, I mean, that's exactly right, isn't it?
Yeah, anything under, I'd say 8 and over really, in the middle period. You've obviously got the 5 men out, 4 men in the ring. Chain comes down to, that's a slog sweep, and that's gone all the way. 6 runs, much needed for Gloucestershire, and Ollie Price, a bit more, and it's dropped. There's boos around the Utilita Bowl for the drop catch, not for the 6.
Now, at the Oval, there's £1,000 for a catch in the crowd. I mean, I don't know of any prizes here, but
I'm going to let you take over. I'm going to go down there. Maybe Hampshire doing anything like that? No,
I don't think they are. But just watching it again. Anyway, it's just
that was
as
a bit more flight in that one, so be a bit quicker this one. And he is a bit fuller again, and he goes for this down to long. Oh no! There's a great stop actually by Brevis. It's kind of stuck in no man's land really. He didn't really want to go for the catch. Wasn't quite there. He's done really well to dive and stop the ball going over the boundary, and they come back for 2. Better finish for the over there. For the 8 off the last 2 balls, so I think it's 11 off the over there, 65 for 2, the halfway stage.
Yeah, exactly right, Anthony. Yeah. So what disability cricket have you got coming up?
We have India coming over in a couple of weeks, so I haven't been selected in the main squad unfortunately, so I'll be there warming up the Indians for 3 games down in Exeter, and then the main squad will, I think they're playing 7 T20s, including Lords,
right,
Taunton, Bristol, Wormsley. So yeah, should be exciting summer for the guys.
Benny Howe to continue from the pavilion end. He's bowling to the left-hander, Darcy Short. Swings that away in the air. This should be caught at deep backward square leg. Joe Weatherly takes a nice catch. Stomach height right on the boundary. Never really got the power, never really got the elevation, Darcy Short. He goes for 17. And Gloucestershire now 65 for 3.
Just struggled, hasn't he? 17 off the 20 balls there for Short. And Howell's been a great start. 7 balls, 1 for 4. Ideal. In this middle period, this will be all about Benny Howe's skills, slower balls, Yorkers, and trying to get the batsman to hit to the longer side, which is the width here at the Utilita Bowl.
Yeah, it's quite important, isn't it, wickets in the middle overs, because if a partnership's established, then it gives the innings momentum towards the end, doesn't it? If you can chip away, then there's never really momentum, and the side will finish probably 15, 20, maybe even more runs short than they perhaps would ideally have made.
Yeah, I think you'll buy a couple of dot balls, won't you, when the new batter comes in now. I think Howell again will look, if we can try and get this over under 6, he'll be happy. And there's the two overseas players no longer, so it brings Jack Taylor.
Yep. Right-hand batter. He's playing his 146th match this evening. Strike rate of 139, so he's a handy player to come in at this stage for Gloucestershire.
Sounds obvious, but even for the fielding side and the bowling side, just having 2 right-handers on strike as well, it's a lot easier for building pressure,
certainly does,
for plans and things like that.
So Benny Howe from the pavilion end. That was his first delivery to Taylor. who's on the back foot, finds Brevis at point. Just going back to your bit about the, because is it this year now that it's a combined disability side now, isn't it? So where you've been playing for England physical disability,
yeah.
this is what is England's
deaf, LD and PD.
Yeah, so it's a different. It's like playing for GB, isn't it, rather than just England?
Is,
that's played out to extra cover. So you've got other, other teams to sort of get ahead of
so
as
you
well.
Pick five from each impairment group essentially. Right. So.
Well, I'm sorry you missed out.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure you're working hard to get in. As that's turned away on the leg side, is off the mark. Taylor won't be any more than 1 to 14.
I think like any other side, I think they've tried to get the right balance. So it's not necessarily, for example, the deaf captain George Greenway bowls 80 mile an hour. He hasn't even been selected as well. So there's been some very different selections, but the squad's really strong, and hopefully they can beat India, who we all know will be extremely strong as well.
Here's Howell bowling to Ollie Price. Ollie Price off the back foot, hits it into the gap on the offside. Joe Weatherly's fielding there, patrolling the boundary. 68 for 3. Is there a feeling that where you've mixed the sides up, and it's obviously 5 per side or whatever in the squad, that probably one side should have perhaps put forward 7 players rather than, or had 7 players in it rather than 5?
Yeah.
Is it that sort of thing? Because it must be hard, isn't it? As that's pulled away out towards deep mid wicket. 68 for 3. But to say that this lot have got 5 good players, that lot's got 5, and that lot's got. I'm sure one of them's weaker than the other, and they probably shouldn't have 5.
They are, yeah. I don't know which other way you would do it. To be honest with you, yeah. Maybe
I don't want to put you on the spot because I'm sure it's a touchy subject.
Yeah. But no, it's fine. It's an exciting time. Managed to go to Sri Lanka this winter, which is an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Shame, there's a big, massive carrot being dangled in front of the guys this year, maybe able to play at Lords, which it's a great opportunity. So change of bowling. So we're going to see some seam now. So Scott Curry's come back into the attack. Yeah, our friend Dan Whiting, non-stop goes on about how good Ollie Price is. So I know he'll be listening in today, no doubt. Ollie Price this, Ollie Price that.
Well, let's hope he doesn't disappoint.
Absolutely. Scott Curry comes into Jack Taylor. Full, driven. To the offside. He's pushing straight to mid-off James Vince, who's sitting right on the edge of the square. They'll settle for 1. I think the Hampshire will be really, really happy with, especially with the same deck they played on last week. Scored over 230 they scored?
230, yeah. I think it was the 5th highest score ever here. I think the women with 215, the game earlier, I think that was the 5th, and then it got bumped down.
Yeah. Ollie Price has had a good start, 15 off 13 so far. He's going to face up to Scott Curry's full, driven. A bit of a slower ball there, down to Brevis at long on. Got the big mullet. You spoke to him last week. He's a good person to speak to.
He is. I've done 2 interviews with him.
Have you?
Yeah,
lots of energy.
He has got a massive amount of energy. I just hope we're treated to something again. I mean, we've no right to expect something from him every time he walks out to bat, but he didn't even get in last night.
70 for 3, Gloucestershire. Scott Curry comes in, sort of flicks off his legs. Jack Taylor should maybe push for 2. No, just a single. Again, Hampshire should be really happy. 1's a fine at this stage of the game. Gloucestershire will be looking to try and build a bit of a platform so they can go hard for the last sort of 4 or 5 overs. So really the next 3 overs they'll be looking to just tick along, 6, 7 and over.
Yeah, they've got a few wickets in hand, haven't they?
Ollie Price facing up. Short ball this time, pulled. Just lands straight into those used wickets and just kills the ball completely, doesn't it? As Weatherly comes in and throws it into the pitch, trying to get that ball nice and soft.
Yeah, they've still got some handy players to come in. Ben Charlesworth, he strikes at 150 per 100 balls. I mean, he ain't going to hang around. James Bracey,
it's hard.
Probably one of the more familiar names in the Gloucestershire side.
Well, they don't really have that many sort of standout players, but they are the champions, the reigning champions.
Yeah.
They're a real good, strong team, and they flicks off his legs and it's going to push back for 2. Well fielded out there by Weatherly, but can't stop the 2, unfortunately. Yeah, I think you could see in the finals day last year, they're just a real well-drilled side, aren't they? Especially with the ball. Got Payne opening up. So he had a fair few games of England as well as Payne.
Yes, David Payne, the man to watch. 3rd most wickets in the T20 Blast competition since it started.
Curry will looking to close out the over now. Short again.
That
wide.
might be a wide.
Yeah.
Just overdone it. Slightly
you can see the plan there, trying to get the Gloucestershire batsman to hit nice and square here, where it's quite big on that leg side. Although Ollie Price did send one into the stands in the last couple of overs ago, didn't he? So
6 4s and 1 6 in the innings so far.
Curry in, full, a bit of swing there, driven, played and missed. And Gloucestershire 75 for 3 now off 12.
So Anthony Clapham is going to stay on, and then alongside him, looking surprised that I was just about to introduce him. Do you want to cover this side, Anthony? Anthony Clapham will come on the side of me, and whilst Michael Kern is amongst the crowd, Ed Seaborn will be the next voice you'll hear.
Thanks, Kevin. Gloucestershire still just about staying ahead of a runner ball, but not by a great deal. It's been a huge struggle seemingly to time just about anything so far. We've been sitting there off there trying to work out the reason.
Yeah. Whether it's a bit too pace maybe, or use wicket.
I mean, the slower balls seem to be responding quite well, and then up front, when it's been dug in, there seems to have been a bit of bounce. But,
seam as well. So.
You know, again, so whether it's just that little bit of two-pace nature, I don't know.
No. John Turner's into bowl, back into the attack. Played into cover Ollie Price. You've got mid-off up now, so you think that John Turner will be looking to hit the pitch nice and hard and trying to get Ollie Price to hit square of the wicket, where you've got a third man, deep cover, deep square leg and a deep mid-wicket. That's got long on that there for the big old-fashioned slog.
Yeah,
it's a big old hit out there though, isn't it?
We've seen a few slogs attempted and really very little success. Just the 1-6 in the 13th over.
John Turner's in again, and Ollie Price gives himself some room, and it does end up down to third man for 1. You see what he's trying to do there, trying to hit it over point.
Yeah, excellent field placement as well, you know, because really you had to play that quite close to him, and if he's going to pull, he's going to have to take on the big leg side with those fielders back deep, but then the insurance policy of if he tries to go up and over the offside, there's still protection there as well. Yeah.
Come on, we need to see some more boundaries for the children here. There's loads of cricket players here. Flicked off his legs there, Jack Taylor into deep square. He's been fairly quiet since come in, just rotating the strike. 7 off 9 balls now. Ollie Price 18 off 17. So these guys will be looking to build a platform, as I said earlier, and I think they'll try and save the wickets for the end, and then the likes of Bracey, Charlesworth can come in and sort of give it a long handle and try and get it up to a respectable score. What do you think so far? 150? 60?
Well, if they're going to have to get somewhere around there, you'd have thought.
Yeah. John Turner coming in. 2 for 14 so far, and it's wide. Ollie Price has tried to flay that over point. John Turner's really not happy with there.
Absolutely aghast about that decision.
This is where it's the batter's game, isn't it? Ollie Price has given himself, he's sort of stepped onto the offside to try and give himself some room, and John Turner sort of followed him, pushed it a little bit wider, and it's a wide. So
he turned round like the umpire had just stolen the last space in the parking unit. What have you done there? What have you done to me?
Let's see what Turner comes back with now. Charges in, short this time. It's great stop out there by Fortuyn, I think it is. No, it's Benny Howe, sorry. Out there. Fielded.
Absolutely thrown themselves about in the field, haven't they, Hampshire? I mean, you expect it from Hampshire because it's one of the things that defines them as a white ball unit, but just they've been all over the place.
Yeah, absolute athletes, aren't they now? It's no... these guys are throwing themselves, like you said, around the field all the time now, playing so much franchise cricket around the globe as well, as Howard has done in the winter. Short again, this time it's top edge, but there is fine leg is there, but it's gone a bit finer, and that's gone for 4 runs. So much needed boundary for Gloucestershire. And Taylor, 11 off 10, 83 for 3. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm trying to think of the number of convincing boundaries that we've seen. So that is the 7th 4 to go with a 6.
Yeah.
A couple of the boundaries very streaky.
I don't think he was watching the ball there, do you? I think he's trying to get out of the way of that.
He's had a big swing, and to be honest, it's got to that stage, I think, where he's just had enough. He's faced 9 balls, he's got 7 runs, and that's not what Jack Taylor's game is. His game is to go out there and hit boundaries, so he just had a swing, he got it away at least.
And John Turner comes in again. Oh!
Ow.
And that is fired back, and John Turner has just thrown his foot. Yeah,
no.
It's not the smartest, but it's a dot ball, and that's all he'll worry about. Luckily, I think that's hit the bottom of his foot and not the shin, because I think if that would have hit his shin, he would not be playing any further part in this game. So,
well, he's got quite large. I mean, I'm sure they're large boots in terms of foot size because he's a fast bowler, but those boots also look as though they've got a bit of padding on the side of them, so hopefully that's
not a massive amount though, but yeah, you'd hope so. Won't be surprised if he, as a bowler, just comes off now as a little breather, use it as an excuse to have a drink. But no, he's staying on, short fine, rubbing it.
Yeah, have a bruise there in a bit. 6 bowlers used by Hampshire, and they've all done their job really. Only, in fact, James Fuller is coming back into the attacks, the most expensive so far, and he's only gone for 8. Fuller into Price, who dabs this one wide of backward point, sprinting the first. In fact, to say for a moment, I thought they were going to come back there, but I don't think they'd have made it because it's just a short throw for that Wood down there.
Gloucestershire need is a run out in this stage.
Oh gosh, yeah.
These two are starting to build a nice little partnership. Hopefully get, for the Gloucestershire fans, build a bit of momentum now as you come into the back end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the issue, well, I say it's not as though they've been looking particularly comfortable out there, any batter really, but every batter's faced at least 11 deliveries, as Jack Taylor has done. James Fuller's running into bowl, but as he looks up, Jack Taylor was still taking his guard. He's turned around in utter disgust. How dare you take your guard against me? Obviously know each other extremely well, these two. In fact, I'm sure they are very good friends, so maybe there was a little bit of byplay in there. Fuller into Taylor, whacked into the leg side, straight to deep square, who's not moved in for it. 1 bounce and 2 Scott Curry out there.
I really, from how he reacted, I don't think he picked that up.
No.
He's picked that up so late. Like if he took 1 step in from the boundary, he's taken that catch.
Yeah.
He's sort of really reacted late there, hasn't he?
I mean, it's easy from up here because we've got such a fantastic view, bird's eye view of things. You could see that it wasn't carrying to the boundary, and as you say, he really only needed a couple of steps in. He's parried it. 1 run taken, 85 for 3. Fuller goes in now, he bowls to Price, who pulls in the air. This is going to fall short of deep mid-wicket, lobbed in front of Joe Weatherly. This time on the bounce, and still Gloucestershire bash and thrash and can't really get this bowling away. 86 for 3.
Definitely the way that Hampshire, sort of the tactics today are bowling into the wicket, change the pace as well, and trying to get the Gloucestershire batters to sort of hit out to that leg side or square of the boundary. And that one did fall short, didn't it? But the one before, I really feel like Scott Curry could have made a better effort on their one.
Fuller into Taylor, short, blasted out through mid-wicket. He might have found the gap here, he has. He's got it between the 2 fielders on the leg side boundary, both Curry and Weatherly, who've been in play the last 2 deliveries that time. They didn't really have much of a chance as he splits. The pair of them, 90 for 3, Jack Taylor up to 16.
Yes, you put it perfectly, split them. If you look at the replay again, Scott Curry's going to get the dive out, and then it's just, he's hit that really well.
He's diving to make sure that he doesn't run into Joe Weatherly there, I think.
Yeah.
You see those, especially when the fielders are quite tight together, and there's almost just that time for you to really get into your full run, and there's not enough time to stop. It can be really nasty. 90 for 3, as Fuller bowls, that's hit in the air, straight to mid-off, gone. James Vince takes the catch, and James Fuller will have bragging rights over Jack Taylor as he backed away. Again, it wasn't a terrible option, he just didn't get enough bat on it.
No,
I think, so I was just going to say, back to the 93 all out in the last game, Gloucestershire selected poor options and got out. I think here they've been better in terms of their shot selection, but the execution has very much been a struggle for them as the captain goes off for 16. It's 90 for 4, and Ben Charlesworth comes out.
Yeah, I think the last 3 balls that Jack Taylor faced, he put a big heave on the leg side, which just fell short of Curry. Then played a really strong pull shot, which went for 4. Mid-off was up. He saw it was hard length, tried to go over top, and the intent was there. I think it's probably the right thing to do at this stage of the game. I think if you just sort of knock it around now for the next 3 or 4 overs, you're not really going to get to a score that, well, it's going to be a tough score to defend. So he's tried to play a captain's knock. It didn't, like as you said, didn't quite get hold of it, and brings in Charlesworth now, who's left-hander, so the fielders would have to scatter and change. The bowlers will have to change up the lines and lengths and things like that. So Yeah. Good comeback from Fuller there, though.
Yeah, especially, I mean, again, actually, it was same as Hammond, straight after a boundary, wicket falls. Last ball of this 14th over, Fuller into Charlesworth, who drives and misses. And again, I mean, similar to the Jack Taylor shot as well, as soon as Gloucestershire seem to have pulled out a drive, whether it be a drive along the floor or a drive in the air, they're seeing that length. There's a length that they can drive, and all of a sudden the ball's just zipping over the top of them.
Yeah. I haven't managed to get down to have a look at the wicket, but it is the used wicket from last week. But I don't know whether maybe the covers have been on. There's been a lot of rain over the last 24 hours here, so maybe the fact that the covers have been on this wicket for probably most of yesterday, certainly. So Benny Howe is going to come back into the attack. Well, the 2 overs, 1 for 7 so far. So good time. You've got 2 new batters. Oh, sorry, 1 new batter at the other end. You've got Ollie Price, who's in. Sweeps. You've got 2 men out there. Picks up throws by Tom Prest. Comes back for the 2. He's been good running from Price. He's shown some good urgency. He's come in and swept the ball well. Looked to sort of target the leg side again, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's what you've got to do with Benny Howell. It's what teams started to do to him more and more as his Gloucestershire career went on. Just stop playing him as a pace bowler and treat him like a spinner. You can play sweeps against him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Got 9 different variations, I read. He's just played a skip and he's gone over fine leg. Oh, good effort there, I think, by Wood. Dives. I think the umpire's going to have a look at that. It's close to being 4, I think. But that was a chance as Ollie Price has tried to sort of lap sweep Benny Howe, who bowls another slow ball, and it goes over Chris Woods. He sort of held his arm out, didn't he, in sort of hope. Please stick, please, I don't want to chase the ball.
The way it's gone for Hampshire, though, I was expecting it to stick.
Yeah, they did run through for 3, so it brings the left-handed Charlesworth on strike. As Benny Howe now comes around the wicket. Again, slow ball. Fairly straight, and Charlesworth just flicks it off. And his job now, Charlesworth, will be to get Ollie Price on the strike, and if there's a real bad ball, then try and put it away. But certainly for the next sort of 5 to 6 balls, he'll be looking to just rotate the strike. Yeah. Ollie Price, 26 off. I'm surprised the umpires didn't look for that boundary there, if they can. Slow ball, wide this time. Again, swept from Ollie Price. Tries to come back for the 2. And for Chain. Keeps it down to 1.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where if you slowed down the replay, we could tell one way or another whether it were a boundary, but it's not come in yet that there's any sort of review system for games that aren't strictly televised. So, but it's a situation they're going to have to look at, I think, a bit, because
there's how many cameras here, isn't there?
Yeah. Eventually, I think we'll get there.
Benny Howell comes again. Straight, feels off the zone bowling. This has been superb so far. He's just about to complete his 3rd over. He's just gone for the 14 runs. 1 wicket. A good time to get Charlesworth now as well. He'll be thinking even numbers now. Ollie Price is going to keep the strike at the other end. If I can get 2, 4, 6. Benny Howell's actually going to change the way he's going to attack now. He's going to go back over the wickets. He's going to try and bowl across the left-handed Charlesworth. He does. Charlesworth. There's a long handle. It's going to be a chance. It's a great catch! And it's the fans' favourite Brevis, who takes a great catch out deep mid-wicket. I'm just going to let you listen to the applause in the background. I'm looking forward to seeing this replay. But at one stage, I didn't think he was going to get there.
No, well, he's just made it look ridiculously easy, hasn't he? And I've watched quite a bit of Brevis around the world, and he's somebody who very much does like to bring out the full-length dive at every possible opportunity. So I think he just jogged the first couple of steps to ensure that he would have to dive full length.
You know what, you've hit that perfectly. Because I saw one earlier where the ball was about, I don't know, 10 yards in from the boundary, and he slid to try and sweep it back, and you're thinking, he just wants to dive around, doesn't he?
He does. He wants to create every possible bit of social media clippage that he can.
Here we go. So slow ball, flicked out by Charlesworth, dived. And he's
he gets that hand up in the air, doesn't he? As soon as it's nestled into his palms, up goes that right hand up to the sky.
3 for 14 off his 3 there.
Yeah.
The ex-Gloucestershire man.
Yeah. Time after time. Yeah. You mentioned his exploits in the game last year where he got, I think, his highest ever T20 score in chasing down Gloucestershire's total off the last ball as Chris Wood's into the attacks. Just touched wide of backward point into the gap between backward point and deep third. They're able to turn that into 2. And really, Ollie Price on 29, if Price is not there at the end,
he's ran well, isn't he?
Getting towards that, he has, yeah. We're getting towards the point where I don't think Gloucestershire are going to get a defendable total. I think it's pretty much mostly up to these two now, but particularly Ollie Price as the set batter. James Bracey, the new man yet to face, as this is cut away into the ground, straight to backward point. There is no run. Fortain just motioned as if to have a shot at the non-strikers, and he'd probably have conceded 1 if he'd missed.
Yes, Fortain's got two overs to go, but it looks like they're going for the seam at the moment, isn't it? So it's working for them.
You haven't really needed their
no, they haven't.
overseas left-arm spinner too much. Often Fortain will bowl in the power play. He's an excellent operator in the power play, but they didn't need him today. Down the pitch comes Price, just prods it straight to backward point. And again, Fortain can field that pretty comfortably. Chris Wood, none for 13 in 2.5 overs. And I mean, well, there's no bowler who's been really taken down by any stretch of the imagination. Scott Curry's bowled 2 overs, hasn't conceded a boundary. Benny Howell hasn't conceded a boundary in his 3 overs. Down the pitch, Price turning the ball towards long on. Bracey's thinking about 2, but it's Baby Aby, as they call him down there, Devalt Brevis, coming off the boundary. The 100 comes up for Gloucestershire. It's a fairly muted applause, probably even from the home fans who've made the trip. A fair few normally do make this trip to the Utilita Bowl. Year after year it's been an unsuccessful one, but they keep coming back. Yeah. Fairly, I suppose, relatively short.
Bracey's in a bit of form though, isn't he?
For some.
So he got lots of runs in the championship.
Yeah, well, he's having another fantastic championship season as he did last year. Over 1,000 runs and over 50 dismissals as well. Broke several keeping records, back-to-back unbeaten double hundreds last year.
A new contract,
a couple of hundreds. Yes, he has. Yeah, long-term contract. Facing now, pushed into the offside. Once a single, he's pushed it straight to extra cover, and Fortain doesn't pick the ball up. So I suppose you could say maybe they would have made it if they'd gone through, but equally it would have been a surefire run-out attempt if he had fielded it cleanly. And Bracey with the thumbs up to Ollie Price to say, yeah, you're right, definitely wasn't one there. Yeah, I think to the end of 2028, James Bracey's contract. Wood bowls across his stumps, Bracey, flicking the ball down to fine leg. Again, it's a hopeful turn for a second run that's just going to have to be aborted straight away. Only 4 runs from the over, as it's 101 for 5. And Gloucestershire are going to have to go at 10s just to get to 140, and even that feels as if, well, they'd certainly need plenty of early wickets if they're going to defend a score like that, but that's pretty much what they're going to have to try and get to.
Which, they've got the bowlers for that, haven't they? Payne, Dale. I think they're looking to go hard. I was thinking just actually when you said that, it'd be interesting to see how Hampshire go, because at the moment they've been just going hard from the top, and I think they'll just carry on doing that, irrelevant of what score Gloucestershire post. I think they go quite hard early on. Scott Curry's going to come in off from the pavilion end. Comes into Bracey now. Just flicks it off into his leg, and Curry will do the bowling. He slides on the wickets, which I would not recommend doing. 101 for 5, 102 for 5 now. Yeah, Price is the key man, isn't he? Just over a runner ball. Got the 2 boundaries, is he? 6 and the
just the 1, in fact. Yeah.
6. Yeah.
Just that slog swept 6 off
into the stand.
And I think also that's another. Sorry. Yeah. Excuse me. There's another reason why I don't think that they want to put Fortain back on, because Ollie Price is still out there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sweeps very well. Price shuttles down the wicket and flicks off into his leg side, and Benny Howell, who's been the man to beat really today, he's been brilliant with the ball. I think he's just got the 1 over left. It's interesting how Price was playing him. You're right, that you played him like a spinner, didn't he?
Yeah.
So anything outside of his right eye, outside off stump, he was trying to sweep.
Well, I'm thinking back to when, a rare occasion, Gloucestershire did actually beat Hampshire, and Ben Charlesworth and Ben Wells saw Gloucestershire to a victory at Bristol a few years back.
Three balls. It does seem like there's a bit too-paced. Sort of Braces sort of early on that, driven through to deep cover for one.
But Benny Howell bowled quite a lot towards the back end there, and particularly Wells was bringing out those reverse ramps and the conventional flicks,
We haven't really
sweeps,
seen
all
much
that
of that,
sort of
have we,
stuff.
today?
No.
Maybe again shows you the pace of the wicket slightly. Ollie Price he's got a sort of, can't really bowl width here to Price. Oh, and that's just missed leg stump. And the umpire hasn't given that wide because it's
I'm not quite sure how the bails are still on.
So he stepped outside off stump there, and it's just gone past that leg stump. Usually it's anything down leg is a wide, but that...
Yeah, I think now they've actually relaxed that law a little bit in terms of...
batters stand,
exactly, the original stance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's whacking him on the pad. That's not even a fine
I think I'm going
clip.
up for that, yeah, if I was the bowler there. Interesting. I think you want to give yourself some room here with only just the two on the offside. He's, again, sort of stands on off stump, punches it down to long on. Bracey would try and get back for two, but he can't. Howells in his bright yellow spikes runs in from long on, and they'll just go for the one. So again, a good over here for Hampshire, just the 4 off it. Curry 0 for 14. So one more ball to get through to his third over, 105 for 5, and Gloucestershire really need something special now. Bracey, these two are the guys that could do it, though, to be fair. So let's see. Curry into Bracey, who uses his feet. It's gone straight up. And that's good catch in the end by Benny Howe. I thought the two fielders were going to come into and collide with each other, but Prest sort of stood out the way, and it's another wicket at a really important time for Hampshire. 105 for 6. Bracey goes.
Yeah, again, he pretty much had enough, James Bracey, and any time Gloucestershire have tried to hit Hampshire off a length, it's either been mistimed, missed completely, or hit straight up in the air. And again, it was a length ball. It wasn't anywhere near that sort of slot length. Scott Curry's had the absolute perfect blend, seemingly, for this surface. His slower balls are going well, and when he's gone pace on, he's not bowled it too full, and he's also not bowled it that short either. It's just been on a good length,
isn't it? Yeah.
And yeah, again, Bracey's had to try and create something from absolutely nothing there. He's used his feet a bit, but I mean, just really very little read on the pitch from any of these Gloucestershire batters. And if Ollie Price's wicket was important for Gloucestershire, it is just absolutely paramount now that he sees out these final 18 balls and ideally faces about 15 of them.
Yeah, and I think he'll be trying to get 30, won't he? 30, 35. But as you mentioned, Hampshire have been superb with the ball. The lengths they bowled, the change of pace, and I think the way that James Vince actually captained the side.
Yeah.
It changed the bowlers consistently, switched to the ends, so the batters haven't been able to get set.
John Turner back into the attack, bowling very wide outside the off stump.
As I say, how well they've bowled. And there's a nice wide there.
106 for 6, but now Ollie Price batting with the bowlers. Matt Taylor, the new man. There's David Payne, Tom Smith, Ajit Singh Dale to come. So Ollie Price really the only remaining hope, you'd guess, to get Gloucestershire to that 140 mark, as Turner's into him, full wide driven, not off the meat, hand on it from backward point to slow it down a bit. Not that, well, they'd have struggled to turn that into 2, I think, anyway, even if there hadn't been a hand.
They're really worried about bowling straight to Price, I think, aren't they? They're trying to sort of bowl as wide as possible. Obviously, he's really, really strong off his legs, as we saw earlier when he flicked Fontaine into the leg side boundary for 6.
And again, just the drive. It's just been a shock. Gloucestershire have struggled so much with. Matt Taylor to face for the first time as Turner bowls to him, and there'll be a drop and run there out towards cover. And
that's your job, Matt Taylor.
Yeah, exactly. It's intelligent batting from Matt Taylor. I mean, he can clear the boundary rope, don't get me wrong. I mean, both him and David Payne especially can give it a clout. And David Payne, his first 3 balls that he faced in the Blast this year were 4-4-6, but
there you go. Strike breaks.
Well, yeah, it was good, but
You won't expect to bat too much
No.
in T20 cricket, that's for sure.
Be expecting to bat 3 times in 3 matches as Price cuts and picks out backward point. Fortain fields, again there is no run, and he's in a pretty hopeless position, is Ollie Price, really, because he'd like to be going for it, but even he's not really middling it after 32 deliveries, and he knows if he gets out, there's a danger Gloucestershire don't even get to, I mean, the very basic total of about 120, 130. Turner in, full ball, over pitch, driven through extra cover for 4. Yeah. That is one of the only times in this entire innings, in fact maybe the only time, where Hampshire have bowled a half volley, and Price, he's still not absolutely crashed it away, but he's picked the gap between mid-off and extra cover, and that is just his second boundary.
You just can't bowl that length when you've got this field. You've got third man, you've got a cover, you've got mid-off up and extra cover, so he's trying to bowl wide. I assume he's just trying to go short and wide just to try and get him to hit out to that wide boundary, but he can't go full there.
Turner bowls short wide that time and cut over the top of where a short third would be, down towards the boundary, and fielder will do the mopping up there. Scott Curry just the single, so 113 for 6. This sort of a free hit maybe for Matt Taylor, because you know, whilst of course he doesn't want to get out,
even numbers I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
2, 4 or 6.
He could be replaced at this stage by a David Payne or a Tom Smith, so he's got licence to go for it, and well, if he middles it whilst the top order bats have not been middling it, it probably doesn't bode particularly well for Gloucestershire.
Kept the same field as well, so this is a free hit now.
Turner into Matt Taylor, whacked straight to extra cover, and that is caught by Benny Howell again, as he's taken 2 catches and taken 2 wickets. The free hit, as it were, was hit firmly by Matt Taylor, who struck that about as hard as any shot we've seen of late, but again a Hampshire fielder in the way. It's 113 for 7 with 2 overs left, and David Payne is coming out to bat again, and for the second game in a row really, what looks like an extremely strong top 7, and a top 7 that, with the exception of Darcy Short replacing Bo Webster, is exactly the same as they put out for the Blast last year. But 2 matches in a row, it's not worked, as Gloucestershire are really battling to try and post anything that looks competitive.
Yeah,
James is back with me.
Yes, thank you. I don't know, you know, this wicket is obviously an old wicket, even though it's a hybrid wicket, you know, whether that's means it's just a little tacky out there, and because, you know, no batter has really timed it, whereas last week was completely different. Scott Curry, who bowls, and it's driven back to him, and there is no run. That's Ollie Price, who's still there on 38, holding things together, Ed.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not feeling magnificent about this innings, but pretty much any time he might have wanted to start opening his shoulders, there's been a wicket falling at the other end, and he's found it almost as tricky as everybody has.
Scott Curry from the pavilion end. Slower ball, hit up in the air. Is he going to carry to mid-off? Not quite. That is a great effort from Brevis. Very athletic in the field. Already taken a brilliant catch on the boundary, and, well, he gave himself a chance. Let's put it that way.
Well,
I'm sure he was ever going to be that close. Has the ball just bounced up onto his nose?
Yeah, perhaps it did. He launched himself again, just absolute abandon for his own safety, seemingly.
To say he's enthusiastic, he's actually underplaying the way he approaches things. A low full toss, almost a Yorker, driven up off the bottom of the bat by Price. They'll pick up 2, or they have to hurry. Scott Curry has the bails off, but Payne is home.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony mentioned it as well. Ollie Price has run well. He's done his best, even though he's not been finding the boundary to give his side something here. 42 off 37. Tried to manufacture whatever he can.
Just get something. Let's get something on the board. Curry bowls, goes for the lap and misses it. Or the offside scoop, I should say.
Yeah, the
misses.
Reverse rampy flicky thing.
Yes, that's the one, yes. Bowl.
Set and match to Hampshire.
standing by for the players and officials to return in just a few moments' time. This Vitality Glass backstage is co-sponsored by Hampshire Insurance Brokers, official partner of Hampshire Cricket. Independent brokers, Hampshire Insurance help businesses with all of their insurance needs. Head to HampshireInsurance.co.uk for more information. Thank you to them for their support of the TV match.
Okay, matey. Well done, mate. Well done, fella. All right. Cheers, matey. Well, yeah, unfortunately, it's still good weather here at the Utilita. We should get a full Hampshire reply in 119 all-out Gloucestershire bowled with 1 ball to spare. 4 catches for Benny Howe, which we mentioned right at the end of the innings. We've just been doing some calculations here. That is the joint highest in T20 blast history for Hampshire. My word, these stats. You can make stats say anything. Only James Vince has taken more catches in a T20 game for Hampshire, but that was actually in the Caribbean T20 tournament against the Leeward Islands back in 2010-11, the winter of which Ed Seaborn I was actually out and commentating on.
Oh, of course.
So there you go. Of course that was, yes.
I think it might have been a little bit warmer than it was this evening as well. We just had the temperature drop a little bit for the second innings, and it's nothing to do with the frosty welcome that Hampshire have once again given Gloucestershire at the Utilita Bowl. I mean, it's been a professional performance, hasn't it? You know, they've bowled about 2 or 3 bad balls in that 19.5 overs. It's been immaculate. They've stuck with what's worked. They haven't gone trying to deviate or change from the plan that's been working. And you know, you look at that top 5. All of Gloucestershire's top 5 faced double digits in terms of deliveries. They all got some sort of time out at the crease and still couldn't really make a huge amount of it, with Ollie Price the only one going on to get a more substantial score, but even that only just over 40 from 39. He would expect to strike at more than that. He usually does strike at more than that, so they're going to have to hope that that is as tricky to do in terms of scoring at that kind of rate for Hampshire as it was for them. But the difference is that Hampshire know that they've only got to score at a runner ball.
Yep. Hampshire looking for their 3rd win on the trot. Gloucestershire are looking to avoid to make it 3 losses on the trot.
David Payne, first over, slip in place, in he goes and bowls. Good start as forward, just pretty much to defend this one is Toby Albert, out into the offside. Has he done a massive amount of keeping for Toby Albert?
He did it in the Global Super League during the winter in Guyana, which I was out, by the way, commentating.
Of
course I was.
Dear,
yes.
dear.
Sorry, I just had to slip that one in.
Places that Hampshire get. Yeah. Hit the big money now. In comes Payne, bowls, wide delivery, slapped out to cover, or cover point really. And again, there's no run as Tom Smith fields. So Bancroft in at slip, 2 fielders back on the boundary at deep backward point and deep square. And 2 fielders fine, 1 on the offside and leg side inside the circle. Ajit Singh Dale seems to have lost his T20 top because he's not got a number on his back at short fine leg. Payne bowls a drive and a miss from Albert as the ball angles across, and well, that at least is quite similar to what we saw in that first innings. The drives in particular seem very hard to hit.
Yeah, I mean, you're relying on David Payne to give you something up top here, aren't you? 3rd most wickets in T20 blast history, 196 he's on from 144 matches.
Him and Wood are in a bit of a race, I think.
They are a bit, aren't they? Yeah.
Let's see whether Payne can add to his tally. In now and bowls, wide delivery, dragged into the ground and out into the onside. Payne comes up to field. Again, there's no run, but there's no need for Hampshire actually to have any sort of a go at David Payne, really. They can do pretty much what Kent did to him. And actually, until the back end of things, Kent were quite happy to just push and prod David Payne around. 2 overs for 5 in the power play. They still went on to score 200. Actually have to take risks against him. Payne into Albert. He'll try to take a run towards cover point again, and then gets sent back, I think rightfully so, by Vince at the non-striker's end. So Payne working on a maiden to start this innings.
That would have been suicidal. Toby Albert's had a solid start to this season in the T20. 54 in the win here against Essex and 28 last night. Not out against Surrey.
And you'd think, really, a 20 or a 30 is all, I mean, I'd like more, but it's all Hampshire might need. Driven away through backward point by Albert. That'll be his first run, but won't be able to turn it into 2 as Charlesworth fields out on the boundary. So it does spoil the maiden over, but just the one from the first over, one without loss. Be interesting to see how Jack Taylor uses Payne as well, whether he might even have to go with 3 overs up front with Payne, because they desperately need wickets. I suppose it depends whether he has taken a wicket in the second over and what's happening at the other end, but he's got to go all out, because, you know, similar to what we're saying about Albert getting a 20 or a 30, if James Vince, I feel, bats for even about 5 overs here, then Hampshire are quite likely to win the game.
Yeah, run rate of just over 6 1/4 an over is required, which by T20 standards isn't huge. But we're going to find out a little bit more maybe about this wicket in the Hampshire innings. Singdale then comes in, right arm over, bowls, and that's a lovely shot on the up from Toby Albert. Has that ball got enough on it? It has just. Well, that's a sweetly timed shot, because he did no more than just play through the line to a good length ball. There was a little bit of width, which just helped Albert there. 5 without loss.
I mean, we've seen the outfield's quick enough. It's just that the ball hasn't been rolling on the outfield very much. It's not the easiest to time, but actually you don't have to time the ball perfectly if you can get it through the infield. But as soon as the power play was over, that was something that couldn't happen.
Singdale runs away from us and bowls, and that's straighter. And Albert just pushes quietly forward. So Albert's 5 from 8. Vince yet to face off the first 8 deliveries.
He played a little bit last year, Ajit Singdale, 4 matches in the Blast, sort of in and out of the side a little bit when Marchant de Lange was out injured. De Lange has got an injury which he's just close to recovering from, but not quite in time for this one.
Okay. Singdale in again to Albert, who's gone for the scoop. That's gone long way. And it's gone so far, it's gone for 6 over fine leg. Well, it felt as though it came out the middle of the bat. And he's used the pace of Singdale to help it on its way.
Yeah, bringing back some rather ugly memories for Gloucestershire supporters as well, seeing a scoop from that hotel end flying away. Went all the way for 6, that one. As you say, just got every bit of it, and whenever Gloucestershire tried that shot,
didn't work,
didn't hit it. Actually, he's wearing Graham van Buren's shirt now.
Oh.
How's that fitting?
And where's Van Buren as well? Length ball, which is played to extra cover. That's a good piece of fielding.
Yeah, in the squad,
short.
but Van Buren, this is in the squad, but not
selected at the moment.
And I kind of imagine they won't have looked at this surface and really thought it's a surface that's going to turn a huge amount, so they haven't gone for the extra spinner, but he would be there as an option. Got a few runs in the second team in the week, so he certainly would be in the frame if Gloucestershire think that they may have to make changes.
11 without loss, 109 needed as Singdale comes in short. What's that? No, it's okay. That's a good bouncer, that, actually. It didn't need to duck too low, Albert, which is why just momentarily I thought it might be a wide, but that's a good delivery, good comeback there from Singdale.
Well, you're not ramping that one.
No, yeah, ramp that. It's very much a Toby Albert shot, that one. And he did play it particularly well.
How is that Graham van Buren shirt fitting him? It must be quite big for Graham.
Here comes Singdale again. He's gone for the short bouncer, and he was going to ramp that one and got completely foxed. Scored a wide because it's gone down the leg side. Banged in short, slower. And Albert wasn't sure what to do in the end, having walked across his stumps and literally opened his body out to the ball.
I think Jack Taylor's asking whether that's a wide for height or a wide for leg side. I'm not sure which it was, but it it certainly looked as if it must have been one or the other. It's extraordinary. He could almost have had 3 goes at hitting that one. He's done a full pirouette and hit it on the second go around.
11 legitimate even balls have gone and 12 without loss. That's wide outside the off stump, swings and misses. End of the over. Singdale's first over went 4-11, 12 without loss.
Yeah, quite a few dots in there, but 4, the 6 and the wide, meaning perfectly decent from Hampshire's point of view. Now even 12 after 2, even though the first over just went for 1, and no surprise that David Payne is still going to bowl, and in fact James Vince is going to face his first ball at last, because Albert's hogged the first 2 overs. As we get a tiny bit of low sunshine way to our right, which is casting an attractive light over proceedings. In comes Payne, left arm over, bowling to Vince, who wafts and misses outside the off stump. And to be honest, I had my money on, as much as everyone struggled this evening, James Vince just going out and creaming a cover drive in the way that James Vince can, first ball, and sort of showing everybody what sort of the fuss about. But actually even James Vince at least has taken 1 delivery to have a bit of a look and had his edge past. 12 without loss, chasing 120 Hampshire as Payne bowls, and Vince punches off the back foot out through extra cover, and Tom Smith won't get there. He sort of grits his teeth thinking he might have a chance, but the ball just keeps on running away, and he pierced that gap, which wasn't a particularly sizable one between extra cover and cover point, just short enough that he could rock onto the back foot and time it away. And 16 without loss. So second ball.
Yeah, well,
he just timed it.
Yeah, it just needed a ball to get back into the swing of things.
Terrible, really. Short mid-wicket, short extra cover. A slip goes out, driven straight to short extra cover, who is Darcy Short. That's an awful lot of shorts. And he had a bit of a look at Albert at the non-striker's end, but Albert alertly, well, I say alertly back into his ground. He probably didn't even have time to take much of a step down the pitch, actually, because it all happened so quickly. Driven to Darcy Short. Got a lot of different first names in this one, in terms of Darcy and Bjorn especially. Can't imagine there's been too many of those about in county cricket's history, as Vince pushes that to short extra, and again there is no run.
There's a Darcy Carter playing in women's cricket.
Yeah, it's spelt differently though, isn't it? So
yes.
we can't have that, I'm afraid. No, we can have that.
Doesn't that count?
Well, I suppose Darcy Short spells his name D''A''RCY.
Yes.
But yes, you're right. Darcy Carter, the Scottish international, plays for Lancashire. Payne bowls, helped away past short fine leg and for 4 runs. Just for a moment it looked as though it was going to be another attempt at a flying catch that we saw from Fuller off Bancroft earlier on, but it's just wide of Singdale's reach, and a second boundary in the over for James Vince, 20 without loss.
Yeah, just helped on the leg side. Payne's not quite getting the shape on the ball that we've come to know of him. He's deadly bowler with the white ball, isn't it, when it's new and it's swinging. He's not quite getting the same tonight.
Last ball of his second over is pulled away firmly by Vince, straight to deep backward square. Ollie Price fields, but 9 runs off the over, and Hampshire already getting ahead at this rate, and no wickets in the first 3 overs. And when you're trying to defend the almost undefendable, you've probably got to take at least a couple of wickets in the power play, so they're desperate for wickets, and wickets quickly, as it looks as though the tournament's second leading wicket taker last year, Matt Taylor, is going to take up the attack.
Left armour as well, Matt Taylor, but he doesn't really swing the ball, does he? He angles it across the right hander, a different type of left arm seam bowler. But yes, I mean, for Gloucestershire to really seriously, for me, challenge in this game, you needed David Payne with those deadly in swingers. That's why he's taken so many wickets in this competition. Up top he's deadly, but it's just not really moving for him. And really, for Matt Taylor, he's not that type of bowler that's going to get the ball to swing it in. I may be wrong, he may have learnt something during the winter, I don't know. But here he comes running away from us, bowls to Vince. It's a good tight line though. Let's push to mid-wicket, and there's no run. Hampshire need, what's it, 100? Oh, they need 99 from here. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, we did feel, and I have put the extra jumper on, did feel that the temperature just dropped that little bit almost as the interval went. So whether it's just, you know, that couple of degrees cooler that means it's not swung here.
Agreed. Taylor bowls, it's pulled away, hammered away over mid-wicket by James Vince. Slightly short, and it was only slightly short, but Vince was onto that in a flash. Moves on to 13 after 8 deliveries, 25 without loss. By the way, in the the T20 international, the first one between England and the West Indies, England scored 188 for 6. The West Indies are 30 for 1 in the 5th over. Dawson opened the bowling and has picked up the wicket. Liam Dawson had, is it Johnson Charles?
Yes.
It is, stumped by Butler for 18. He's hammered that away, but along the ground, and it's actually fielded at mid-on by Jack Taylor.
Can't imagine that Johnson Charles was just looking to dab a single as he was stumped there. I haven't seen the dismissal, but he doesn't usually die wondering.
Do you think he's run down the wicket at Gloucester?
Yeah, I suspect so.
Well, it's 18 or 15.
Could be completely wrong. Maybe he's slid it past the outside edge or something, but you'd imagine that Johnson Charles was looking to club him somewhere into the distance.
Bryden Carse opening the bowling with Liam Dawson there, who's still got all 10 toes. The last time I looked, there was talk about him amputating a toe, wasn't it? He's trying to cut that away and misses.
Him amputating it?
Yeah, did you read that article? Because you know,
No,
Bryden Carse has had a problem with one of his toes.
So he was going to amputate it himself?
Well, apparently he said, well, I've got so much problems with this, why don't we just amputate it and be done?
Right.
But I don't think, it was on the BBC website a few days ago.
I missed that completely.
Yeah, look that up on the internet.
Okay. Well, I thought you were saying that he was going to perform the operation himself.
I'll have a quick look at the end of this over. I remember seeing the word amputation in it. As Vince gets wrapped on the pad, goes out on the leg side. It'll be 1 leg by to the total. 26 without loss in the 4th.
Oh, Matt Taylor actually had a bit of a problem with an infected toe that just kept on getting infected. That kept him out for quite a while actually, and saw to, I think, the back end of the 2023 season for him, and it was an ongoing issue all throughout the winter.
Okay. Yeah, here we are, headline. Considered amputating a toe to overcome an injury. There we are. That was on the BBC website about 5th of June. When was that? Yesterday. I thought I'd read that. That's full, and it's worked up to mid-on by Albert. End of the over. 26 without loss. Hampshire from here need 94.
I'm going to say it's a wonderful thing to have made up if he hadn't. I was really hoping that you were just going to look there and find absolutely nothing, and you've just made up this ridiculous story about Bryden Carse amputating his own toe out of nowhere at all. Oh dear. No, that's extraordinary. Yes, Ajit Singh Dale is going to switch ends, so Jack Taylor has resisted what I'm sure would have been quite a strong temptation to have given David Payne a 3rd over in the power play, because they are so desperate for wickets, but none have come. But Singh Dale went for 11 in his 1st over, so Hampshire look to target him. They haven't lost a wicket yet, so they could think about maybe one of these two chancing it against Singh Dale, who is not Graham van Buren. Running in and bowling now, and Vince just works this one through square leg. Out to Ollie Price off the boundary, 1 run added, 27 for no wicket.
You were saying recently Ajit Singh Dale was playing for England Lions?
He was, yes. Yeah, playing in the first of those A Test matches against India. Although the second one has just begun, with both Singh Dale and Akhtar returned to Gloucestershire. Josh Tongue and Chris Wokes playing in that side as a tune-up for the first Test match, with both of them being named in that squad. As Singh Dale bowls, that's going to be a wide, and I reckon that was pretty close to being a no ball, because Albert's gone for the ramp, then he's gone for the reverse ramp because it's outside the off stump, and I think Albert is saying that that landed off the cut strip, which in that case that would be a no ball and a free hit, but umpire has deemed that it did land on the cut strip. I've not seen a replay. Singdale he's trying to do the right thing and hide it away from Albert, but just went a bit too far. 28 without loss. Singdale in now, bowls a slower ball, hacked away out over mid-wicket. In fact, a bit better than hack. It's gone 3 bounces and for 4. It was a bit of a clear the front leg and a whack from Toby Albert, but it's T20. Absolutely legitimate shot, and he cleared the infield and picks up 4 more runs. And actually what he did well there was just stop and wait a little bit for that slower ball, because he could have been through that shot too early and hit it straight up, but he just waited that fraction of a second and cleared the mid-wicket fielder comfortably. 32 without loss.
Yeah, I mentioned Albert's 2 scores so far in this competition, and he's kind of gone under the radar with all the hype about Vince returning and getting 60 odd in the first game, and Brevis as well. He's kind of been hidden a bit.
Singdale bowls, Albert ramps that might go all the way again. It does. Extraordinary shot from Albert. He's picked that one up almost off a length, actually. The first one was a genuine ramp. That one was more of a step across, and then realised it was a bit shorter and help it up and over his left shoulder. 38 without loss. Extraordinary batting, it really is.
Makes it look easy. That's not an easy shot to play at all when bowlers are bowling at a decent lick. Yeah. But he practices it a lot. I've seen him do it a lot, and he gets him some run. He gets him, it's a real, in T20 you want a shot that you can rely on, that gets you a lot of runs, big runs, boundaries, and that's his.
Yeah, and it also forces Gloucestershire to change the field and put the fine leg back. So now everybody's up on the offside, so he backs away, drives it through the offside, and that'll be 4. So, I mean, that really is what that shot does, and it's why they spend so long trying to perfect it and practice it, because Jack Taylor doesn't want to have a fine leg back in there. It's a position that's there just for one shot, whereas other fielding positions can cover multiple shots. Backs away, creates the room himself, finds the gap. 42 without loss. It was a great ball as well.
It is. Well, an interesting thing is he's set a field now for a length ball, so that he shouldn't be playing that ramp shot because the deep fine leg. But actually, he's as a bowler, he's adjusted it. Shouldn't have adjusted.
Singdale bowls, turned away into the onside. Will be stopped at short mid-wicket by Bancroft, and there is no.
Because he's then bowled a ball which he hasn't set a field to. I mean, it's actually not a bad ball. It was very full. It was actually well played.
Pretty much. If you put the Yorker, that disc sometimes that he used to hit, or actually nowadays you see them with that. They get a bit of that boundary Toblerone in and stick that there for the bowlers to hit. That would have been smashing into that bit of boundary foam stuff.
Other makes of chocolate available, of course.
Of course, but not that shape. In comes Singdale and bowls. This is driven up and over backward point. 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, 4. And that is the over, I think, that has taken any sort of jeopardy out of this game for Hampshire. The required rate is down below 5 runs and over, and Gloucestershire are staring down another hammering at the Utilita Bowl. 46 without loss after 5 overs, chasing 1-2-0.
Yeah, and they're so far ahead of Gloucestershire at this stage. It's scary. I mean, the big win over Essex here did wonders for their net run rate, and may yet, if things get a little bit tougher later on in the group, may yet prove the difference. And if they keep going like this, that run rate is going to stay seriously high, and that's important as much as picking up points, because we know how tight this South group can be and has been.
Yeah, or even could be the difference between home quarter-final or away quarter-final.
And there you are.
It's not qualifying.
As you guys found out last year. Just 0.3 got you through.
Yep.
It's Taylor again, as it's turned away on the leg side by Vince. Going to take 2. Ooh, a bit of sloppy fielding out there in the deep. And Vince realised it as well as he was turning for the second. Little bit of complacency out there.
Yeah, Tom Smith just sort of, he got up from his position where he'd fielded the ball, just took that fraction, and off Vince goes.
Taylor bowls, that's worked away on the onside. And he's running the first one quickly here, Vince. I don't think he's going to get 2 this time. That's gone out Who's that out there?
Charlesworth.
Oh, Charlesworth, yeah, he was a little bit more alert. I've got an email here from Ken Bryant. This is a really nice one. Would you be kind enough to send a get better soon message to my mum, Mary Bryant? You are her favourite commentator. That's very kind of you, thank you. That's the only reason I'm reading this out. Great team performance by Hampshire. Vincent Albert to knock the runs off, he says. That's from Ken, who's set in the Rod Bransgrove stand at the far end. Happy to do that, of course. That's a length ball which is pushed out to extra cover, and more than happy to wish Mary Bryant a get better well wish. And yeah, 49 without loss. I didn't really need to read out that other bit, but anyway, it was in the email, and I was duty bound to read out the whole email.
Of course you were. Terrible.
6th over here. There are 3 balls left of the power play. Hampshire needs 71 from here as Taylor comes into Albert. Bowles pulls that away. Does Albert? This could be out caught nearly. It's gone for 6. That's a great effort right on the boundary's edge. He jumped up high but couldn't quite hold on to it.
Yeah, Tom Smith, that would have been a spectacular catch. I thought he had it as well.
Yeah.
It was in his left hand, and it was in his hand for a brief fraction of a second, but it was just hit too hard in the end.
50 partnership up between these two, and that's come off 34 deliveries only as Albert faces Taylor once more. Hits it, I think it could be out caught. Oh, not quite. That was a difficult one at mid-off. It just died. And Gloucestershire will probably feel that nothing's going right for them here. He didn't time that at all, Albert.
Well, it's just turning into one of those evenings, isn't it? I mean, you know, they know from this position they're not really going to win the game, but even just something to hang their hats on, it's not happening for them. One just a bit too far for a fielder, and next delivery a bit too short.
Yeah, that was Miles Hammond there at mid-off as Taylor comes in again and bowls. Vince drives to Hammond all along the ground. And that's the end of the over. So power play done. 6 overs completed. 56 without loss. Gloucestershire at this stage had 37. So Hampshire well ahead. Thank you, Ed Seaborn, for the moment. And it's going to be Anthony Clapham from the Hampshire and England disability team who's still with us. Good start from Hampshire.
Very good. Very indifferent innings so far. I think we were wondering sort of whether it's the pitch or whether it's just a real good bowling, and it looks like it's really good bowling from Hampshire. So credit to Toby Albert, though. He's batted brilliantly, isn't he? His scoop shots, and that pull shot was hit with some venom.
Terrific. 36 off 21, and now it's good to be Tom Smith with his slow left armers. Now he is 5th on the most wickets list in T20 cricket in England with 183. So Gloucestershire in their side have 3 and 5.
Okay.
Numbers 3 and 5.
I did not think that. So
there you go. So here he is from the pavilion end, bowling to Albert, who's turned that away into a rather large gap on the leg side. Always going to be a single there, and Albert moves on to 37, 57 without loss.
Sort of darting it into the pads, isn't he? Straight away. Not going to give any sort of air at all. Good to see Vince back as well, as I said earlier. It's good to see him in the bat. Nice cover drive earlier for 4. Classic James Vince.
Wasn't it? I think by now, this time last week, we'd seen about 5 of those.
Yeah,
he's only just warming up tonight, James Vince. He's used to the Dubai weather, not used to this. As he comes down the wicket, drives, caught extra cover.
Kev.
Just pushed at that one.
I'm going to blame you for that, Kev.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. Vince goes for 17 off 16 deliveries. First wicket down with the score on 57.
And another wicket for Smith to add to his tally. James Vince was just trying to give himself some room to go over extra cover there and didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball and sort of lobbed it up to extra cover. The first wicket down. Tom Prest comes to the crease. Last week batted I think 7 or 8. As the Hampshire batters were going crazy around him. He's going to get a chance to bat top of the order today though.
Yeah, he hasn't really had a chance so far. I mean, it's only 3 games into a minimum of a 14-game season in this competition, but yeah, Tom Prest only made 3 off 8 deliveries. Sorry, 3 off 2 deliveries in that win against Essex, but he batted low down. Didn't bat last night at Surrey because only Vince and Toby Albert batted in that game. Jack Taylor taking a fairly safe catch, the captain, at extra cover.
Yeah, it's definitely getting chilly now, Kev.
It is, isn't it? Well, you've got the big coat on.
I've got it on now.
Yeah.
I just saw Payne collecting the ball after Toby Albert scooped it, and he didn't look too happy down there. It's a bit cold.
Wicket 192, number 192 for Tom Smith in T20 cricket. Comes in again around the wicket. Press drives, goes out towards mid-wicket, no run.
It looks really good. Looks going to bowl stump to stump, wide of the crease, around the wicket, and just fire it into that leg stump. Not going to give any width, no flight.
He has a good economy rate as well for a spinner. It's just under 7.5 an over, which is good going.
Yeah.
So you're not going to give too much away. Cuts it away from close to the stumps. In fact, on the stumps, Tom Prest. Gets a single though, he's off the mark. 58 for 1.
It's good. In T20 cricket, you could take a bit more of a risk, so he's trying to give himself a bit of room there. Managed to find the gap between sort of point and extra cover, and that brings the informed Toby Albert back on strike.
37 from 22 for the Hampshire opener. So had a very consistent start to this tournament. Looking for more, obviously, as he turns that away quietly on the leg side. Moves on to 38. Hampshire 59 for 1, needing another 61 from here with just over 13 overs left of their innings. It looks comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, they can just afford to knock it around for a bit now, can't they, outside of the power play? Run rates below 5s already, so yeah, nothing too crazy here for Hampshire as they just look to knock it over. Get through Tom Smith's.
Yeah, 3 runs and a wicket so far off this Smith over. Bowls again, and there's a sweep shot. He's getting wrapped on the pad. He's outside off stump. Tom Prest, and that's the end of the over. Yeah, tight over from Tom Smith. They need a few of those though, Gloucestershire. 7 overs gone, 59 for 1.
Really good actually seeing Toby Albert flourish so far this season. Last year, I think we spoke and saw a lot of the youngsters actually in the white ball team. You've got Eddie Jack, who's away with the Lions at the moment, who's fantastic. It's really good to see some of the youngsters from Hampshire getting a good chance. You've got Tom Prest, you've got Toby Albert, you've still got Ali Orr who can't get in this side, you've got Weatherly, Felix Orr can't get in this side at the moment, so it's exciting times for Hampshire.
Yeah. Yes, you feel that after that not great season in T20 cricket last year, they're almost back better than they were the year before.
Yeah.
Which is good to see, but early days yet, of course.
Let's see left arm spin from Darcy Short. This time it's going to be left arm wrist spin. It's a bit of a Chinaman. Also pretty flat again, bowls a lot in the big bash. And it flicks off his legs for just the one. So spin from both ends now, Kev.
Yeah, they love the left arm wrist spin in Australia, don't they?
They do,
There's a lot of bowlers like that over there, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think the pitches there are a bit flatter, a bit harder, so a bit more bounce, whereas over here, you know, you're probably getting a bit more spin, but I'm not sure if he's a genuine sort of spin bowler. More sort of in T20, be looking to bowl pretty quickly here. Yeah, surprised to see him on so early actually. So he comes in again now to press. Short really missed out there. Just the 2 on the offside in the ring there, so you've got a deep cover, long on, long off. Deep mid-wicket and a deep square leg. He comes down, uses his feet, knocks it down to long on for a single. The intent was definitely there from Prest. 2 off 5.
There's no real turn out there, is it? It's very unusual for a hybrid wicket to turn anyway, isn't it? Really? I think if you're a spinner and you know you're playing on a hybrid, it's
bowl quickly, length, yeah. Oh. That is a wide, and that's probably where you see Darcy Short as the batter having a go here. That was a real loose delivery.
So a little chuckle with the umpire.
Yeah. So he comes in again, number 62. Short, this time smacked off his legs by Albert. Finds the man deep mid-wicket, just 1 bounce there for 1. Yeah, you can see definitely the difference between Smith and Short. There's been a few sort of loose deliveries here, as Smith didn't really give much away. Just 2 balls to come in Short. Hampshire trying to find a boundary in, and that's just dropped short of cover. Landing on the used wicket out there. Use of feet again from Press.
I don't remember Darcy Short bowling too many overs for Hampshire in the season he had here in 21.
Comes in short this time, that's wide, slow. And Toby Albert does well to keep his shape, to knock it down to long off for a single. And that's a very indifferent over, but 6 runs from it. Darcy Short will be pretty happy with that. Hampshire won't be too disappointed either. 65 for 1.
Yeah, I mentioned he played he played in the games up to the quarter-final. It wasn't around for finals day. Just having a look. Actually, he bowled more than I thought, actually.
Did he?
Bowled a total of 156 deliveries. Picked up 6 wickets. Yeah, so there's a few more.
Economy up near nines.
What's your maths like? What's 156 deliveries divided by 6?
120 is such that. 120, that's 20 overs, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about, what's that, 15 overs, 16 overs, something?
Is it?
I don't know. You get your calculator out.
I'm going to get the calculator out now. It's
Smith's going to continue, though, from the pavilion end.
Left arm spinner again, and that's turned away on the leg side by Albert, who's run the first one quickly. Is he going to take a second? No. Decides there's no need to go too risky. Hampshire have had a really good start here. 66 for 1 in the 9th. Need another 54. What is it? I haven't even got
What did you say, 156?
156 balls he bowled in the T20 for Hampshire. What you got?
26 overs.
26 overs. Yeah, actually, if I'd had to guess, I might not have said he'd bowled that many. So, which I suppose over 15 games isn't that many, really. 14 games. Down the wicket comes. Press hits it in the air. He's dropped an extra cover. Oh, and that's Jack Taylor.
Over previously, Vince has hit it straight to the captain, Taylor, who took an easy catch. That one was slightly lower, a bit harder, but still, that's in a game where you're only posting 119. You need to be taking those.
Yeah, that's straight at him, isn't it? And he stops bowling there, does Smith, just as Prest was taking a step to the leg side.
Give the fans something to cheer about here, wasn't it? Playing with the fans a bit, Smith. I like it.
I saw Brace's reaction behind the stumps when his captain had dropped that.
Yeah.
A bit of frustration there, as I'm sure all the Gloucestershire players felt. Hasn't really timed that cut shot, giving himself some room again, Prest, but he'll pick up a single. Moves on to 4, 67 for 1. Hampshire need 53. Yes, Tom Prest hasn't really had a chance, as I mentioned earlier, in this T20 yet. It's not a competition that if you're feeling your way in a little bit. I mean, he's a good player and he will get runs, but once you start getting to games 3, 4 and 5 and you haven't had much of time in the middle, a bit frustrating, but it shows how well Hampshire are batted. There's a lap shot from way outside off stump from Albert. Moves on to 43, 68 for 1.
I think there's no better time, though, is it now, Kev, when you've got no pressure on yourself, you're needing less than 5 and over just to bat, really. You know, if Press really can just bat here, he can get a nice little 30 and not out, win his side the game.
But he likes pushing it along, doesn't he?
He does.
Doesn't like the game dictating to him. He likes to dictate to it. 4 of 8 he's on. If he's out there for a while, that strike rate will increase. And again, Smith has stopped in his follow-through. Crowd don't like that. And Press not doing a lot at the crease. He's not moving that much.
Giving himself some room, isn't he? Trying to go over extra cover. Does it again.
I mean, I've seen Smith bowl a lot. He's hit that in the air, just short of deep mid-off. I've watched Smith bowl quite a lot, Tom Smith, and I don't recall him doing that sort of thing in the past. But I remember there was a guy called Nick Cook that used to play for Northampton Leicester. I don't know if he's still umpiring. If he's not umpiring, he's up until recently. Has he retired? Yeah, he might have retired in the last year or 2. He used to do that a lot, actually.
Stopped?
Yeah, very frustrating. Used to tell him, actually, when you batted against him, you say, stop doing that. That's worked up towards mid-wicket.
Had a good over.
Yeah. He had a reputation for doing that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you ever tried, you know, when you've got your run-up as a bowler, sometimes stopping and going halfway and trying to catch the batter out? Do you ever try and do that?
What's that again?
So when you're going through and you're trying to get something out of the game, the game's maybe gone a bit stale.
Yeah.
Instead of going up to your full run-up, you'd cut through, just try and basically hope that the batter's in his position but looking down, and then he looks up and try and sort of catch him unawares.
You've done that. You've obviously done that.
Yeah, sometimes the batter would obviously step away, which they should do, and they're well in the rights to. Sometimes they panic and stay where they are, and if you get a little wicket, then it's a bit like Stuart Broad moving the bails, isn't it? You just got to try something different sometimes to
Have you picked up wickets doing it?
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
You just like doing it?
Yeah. No, I don't do it often, but change of bowling anyway from the hotel end. That's Payne back into the attack. Impressed, as you said, Kev. I obviously haven't seen enough of him because I thought he would just sort of knock it around, use this chance to sort of get some time in the middle, but he is wanting to get this done with, and he's obviously, I suppose you've got net run rate to think about in this situation as well. It's a long season as a T20 Blast, but fantastic start so far from Hampshire. As Payne comes in to Toby Albert, who just plays it off the offside into Jack Taylor, who dropped an absolute dolly in the previous over, unfortunately. For professional cricketer standard anyway, it was hit to him quite sort of firmly, but at a good height, and that was the main man, Toby Albert, as well. If you had 2 new batters in, he's probably the only player today who's actually looked like he's batting on a different surface, if I'm honest. So.
Yeah.
71 for 1 is Hampshire. It's coming up to the 10th over, and it's a big hoik from from Albert. It's played Arnold's kicked into the stumps, misses the stumps, and they come through for 1. So a lot happening there. A big hoik from Albert, hits it onto his foot, rolls. Bracey comes in with a big boot from a yard away, misses the stumps.
That's actually good running from Press. That's a good call, because that was tight.
It was.
But as long as you go straight away, you were just about okay. I think that's a really good call. Keeping, just even though maybe the runs have just stopped flowing a little bit in terms of boundaries anyway, that it's good running between the wickets, keeping the scoreboard moving.
Change of field, fine legs up, long off out there now. So slow ball. No, he's picked him out, deep square leg, and he's taken it this time. And Press goes, as you said, Kev, he's really trying to sort of get on with it, and Payne's changed the field, gone slightly shorter, pulled by Press out into deep square leg, and it's a well taken catch.
Ben Charlesworth on the boundary there. It was a good catch.
It was, yeah. Yeah, just interested with the field so far. It's very, very different with Hampshire. Hampshire seemed like they had a bit of a plan. It's in Gloucestershire have gone a different strategy so far. They've had fine leg third man up, and you've seen Toby Albert scoop for a couple of sixes so far. Another Hampshire youngster comes to the crease. I say youngster. He's
28 now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, academy product.
Yeah, he's come through the age group.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Well, he's another batter, really. I mean, we're now getting through to the batters that have hardly done much in the 2 games because of the top order. Interesting, Brevis hasn't come out yet.
Do you think that's probably I think that's why, Gav. I think at this period, Hampshire should go on to win this game quite comfortably. So it's a good opportunity to give some of the other guys a go and get into the game. Like you say, third or 4th game, you really want to have a good chance to have a hit. As Payne comes into Weatherly, just drops it into the offside, into point for no run. But yeah, it's a good chance for the guys to come in and try and find a little form or find something,
Yeah, I would say Brevis is probably going to come in next. I'd be surprised if he isn't. But no, I think you're right. I think that's a good point. Just give Preston, Weatherly a bit of a go.
Yeah. Good over so far, though, for Payne and Gloucestershire. Just the 2 runs from it and the wicket. Payne coming in to finish that, and it's just flicked off Weatherly's legs, and he's going to push hard for 2, and he should get back for 2. And the gap between fine leg and deep square. And that brings Hampshire on to 73 for 2. Halfway.
Yes. 10 overs gone. And after 10 overs, Gloucestershire had 65. So they're not masses in front, but you do feel as though Hampshire are not panicking out there. That you don't feel that they're needing to take too many risks, percentage-wise. They're not really going after shots where the percentage is minimal.
Yeah.
It just feels a pretty regulation at the moment.
Yeah, Smith and Payne are the danger men really with the ball. Both bowled 5 overs between them, so Smith is going to continue now. I suspect Hampshire will just try and work him around 5 or 6 and over.
Smith bowls. There's another fetch from outside off stump by Toby Albert, and moves on to 45. You feel that while he's out there, and it's all very comfortable and all very manageable and all calm.
He looks good, doesn't he, Albert?
Yeah.
It's in good form.
73 for 2 then. 47 needed from just under 10 overs.
28. I can't believe he's 28. It's crazy.
Yeah, Joe Wethy. I know he's been around a bit longer than you think.
Yeah.
He's playing his
big season for him.
88th T20 match tonight.
There you go.
Smith bowls. He's gone from a sweep shot there. It's gone very fine from very straight. There'll be at least 2. Won't make it all the way to the rope below us. As around comes Darcy short.
Very premeditated that sweep, wasn't it?
Yep.
And Smith sort of held it back, bowled a bit slower, and to be fair, Webley's done really well to get a bit of bat on that, hit it nice and fine, and comes through for 2.
I think Gloucestershire already feel that might be a shot that he'll play. I think they're going to change the field a little bit. Jack Taylor's having a word with Smith. Yeah, they're going to try and just cut off that shot of Weatherly. They're certainly, well, they're bringing one up to try and stop the one.
It's got to be very straight to get LBW, I guess. So, yeah, I'm not sure I'll be playing. I don't think I'm technically that good enough to be playing a sweep shot of a left-arm spinner around the wicket. I'm comfortable doing it against an off-spinner.
Yeah.
With the ball swinging into you, but not when it's spinning away.
Yeah, you don't want it pitching on and
No.
straightening and going on, do you? Give yourself some room, goes over the top, that's through extra cover, and that's one bounce for 4. That's a lovely shot.
That's a lovely shot.
Just opened the body out, opened the face of the bat, knew exactly what he was doing there, Joe Weatherly. There's a gap there, there is a deep cover, but nobody at extra cover.
Lovely shot.
Well executed. And Weatherly.
Something maybe James Ince was trying to do a couple of overs before.
Yes.
Weatherly just managed to get underneath it a bit more.
Almost a 6.
Massive gap out there.
8 off 4, Joe Weatherly. Hampshire are 80 for 2. Smith in again. Straighter and quicker, and it's worked to mid-wicket, and there is no run.
It's amazing what 20-30 can do for a batter. When you can bat all you want in the nets, it's nothing like in the middle, in a game situation. So Weatherly will be looking to capitalise now.
Yeah, 8 from 5. Here's the 6th ball, and he's gone for the little dab sweep. It's there is the fielder short, but they've managed to get a single anyway. It's Darcy short. And Hampshire are 81 for 2 with 1 ball left of the 11th. They need 39 from 55 deliveries. Albert back on strike, 45 from 32. Last ball of the 11th over coming up. Smith is 1 for 15 from his almost 3 overs. He's gone for the ramp shot on the offside this time. Toby Albert, they'll get a single, as there is a short third man as well. That's Matt Taylor. And that's the end of the over. 11 gone, 9 to do.
There's plenty of kids in the stand. I can see running around, throwing a ball, playing some shots, and I'm sure they'll be trying some of these shots over the weekend. The old scoops. He's played it over his left shoulder. He's played it over his right shoulder. This is what T20 is all about. Trying to manipulate the field. You can hit the ball wherever you want, and certainly players coming through now. Seeing the kids at club training. They're playing reverse sweeps like it's the forward defensive. It's
really
crazy. Yeah, so cool. Another change of bowling as Taylor comes back into. He's bowled 2 overs so far for 14, bowled 7 dot balls. He's gone for a 4 and a 6 though. So Albert 46. That's big. Oof. That is 6, and that's 50. Well batted, Toby Albert.
Smashed straight into the seats. Right in the area where there's nobody.
He's batted on a completely different surface to everybody today, and this is a fine knock. Did really well last week as well, and he's taken the opportunity of opening the batting with both hands for Hampshire. He's leading the way today. Superb, 52 off 34. Hampshire need 32 or 53. That was quite big, that one, wasn't it?
That was. Well, it just helped it on the onside, didn't he? And it was kind of in that area, isn't it? It's come off the middle of the bat.
It definitely has. I don't think it was caught in the crowd either. As Taylor comes in again, it's sort of shorter, bit full of time, and he's just. I generally thought deep square leg was going to make an effort for there, and it's just skidded off the surface. Don't know whether he picked it up fairly late, but that's 4 runs. It looks fairly innocuous there, but it's just skidded off the turf and gone for 4.
Yeah, I think Taylor, in an effort not to bowl too wide, is actually bowling 2 straight.
Yeah, he's straight out the middle of the bat. Toby Albert is flashing it at the moment. This is 56 of 35. Under pressure now, Taylor. 6 and 4 for his first 2 balls. Bit straighter this time, and it's flicked it off his legs as Toby Albert sprints to the non-striker, then trying to come back and wants to keep the strike. He's loving batting on this surface. Probably the only batter so far who's enjoying batting on this surface today.
I agree.
57.
From both sides.
Yeah.
He's made it look very easy out there.
Be interesting man of the match today, then, wouldn't it? We've got Benny Howes taking 4 catches, which I think is a record, or
second most. Yeah.
He's got the 2 wickets. Toby Albert. Taylor into. I think he plays a glorious drive to cover, deep cover for 1. This will be good for Weatherly. 10 off 7. Just doing his thing. Wait for the bad ball, try and hit a boundary, and if not, try and get his batting partner Albert back on strike, who is seeing it like a beach ball at the moment, it seems. I'd like to see Taylor just push it across Albert a little bit. He's bowled sort of fairly straight and short, and Albert's really capitalised as he comes in. He does. He bowls it slightly across, knocks it into the offside. That's well stopped there by Taylor. And it just goes for 1. So 13 off the over so far. One of the more profitable overs for Hampshire. 95 for 2. Just a 25 of the last 49. As fans start to maybe pack up, make their way, try and sort of beat the rush. It's a chilly night here at the Utilita Bowl. As Taylor comes in, straight, it sort of squares up Weatherly. A shout for LBW, but I think that was going down and pitched outside, so not much else going on for it. 95 for 2 off the 12.
Yeah, big over that as well. Do you want to come this side, Anthony?
Yep.
Anthony Clapham will stay on. And he's going to be joined from BBC Gloucestershire by Ed Seaborn. It's all yours, Ed.
Thank you so much. Just exactly what I wanted. 95 for 2 with 25 required off 48 balls. And, well, I mean, in truth, really, from a Gloucestershire point of view, the damage was done quite a long time ago, really. I mean, you can almost not really analyse this bowling and fielding performance too much, because pretty much known from the start that it's in vain. Darcy Short is continuing. This is pulled down the ground by Albert for a single. 24 more runs required.
So has Darcy Short been the 5th bowler, is he, so far in this one, or is it just a plan for today?
No, not really, no. I think it's just, I suppose they saw the left arm spin of Smith working quite well. There was probably not much turn, even though he does turn, as you mentioned, turn the ball the other way, but yeah, they could have bowled Ollie Price. In fact, Jack Taylor has bowled this campaign so far, as Short is in, and this is played back to a tumbling Darcy Short away to his right. Had to go onto a 3rd pitch to his right away to field that one, but it's a dot ball, and well, he's batted wonderfully well as Toby Albert on a pitch where everybody else, as you really mentioned, has struggled. Yeah. This is turned down towards long on, thinking about 2. They're going to go for it as well. Ollie Price fires the throw in. Good grief, absolute rocket, which has actually taken one of the bails off. But Ant Harris says that is not out. That throw, as quick as that is, that must just have absolutely shaved that bail.
I think you're backing up there on a night like this where it feels like it's about 5 degrees. You'll be praying that Bracey got a hand to it.
Short bowls, cut away on the bounce to backward point just in front of David Payne, as that one actually did seem to grip in the pitch a little bit, turn away from the right-handed Weatherly.
A few of those just haven't quite carried for what had landed in the gap for Gloucestershire, whereas Hampshire, it seemed to go to the fielder every time, didn't it?
We still haven't had a dismissal in this match which hasn't been caught in the outfield. Short bowls. Oh, that's an absolute beauty, and he's been caught behind. What a ball that is!
And you've just said
he's still caught.
It's
not just caught behind.
Oh yeah.
But yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That is the first
caught behind.
Yeah, that's the first catch that's not in the outfield. So 98 for 3, and that's a cracking piece of bowling from Darcy Short. And forget the game situation with the match already gone for Gloucestershire, but Joe Weatherly's just got a perler of a left arm unorthodox delivery, which is spun and just caught his outside edge, and James Bracey, I think maybe at the 2nd attempt, takes that catch, and here comes Devalt Brevis. It would have been almost a travesty if he'd not batted, and for a while I thought he wasn't going to bat. I thought that the crowd wasn't going to get what they wanted. But
listen to that. They're all coming back. People are leaving, they're going back onto their seats now. Brevis is in.
I didn't dare say it almost, because I mean, actually, I can remember Joe Weatherly for a championship game, as we're actually just getting a look at this. So that's pitched on middle, and actually it wasn't at the 2nd attempt. It was just he almost had 2 goes at throwing it up, James Bracey. There was something that was a little bit odd about that from behind, but he took it absolutely cleanly. Quite a thick edge as well, so a really good catch from Bracey. But there was almost just a little bit of a sense, as nice a man as he is, and he's a fantastically nice individual as Joe Weatherly, but almost a sense of deep disappointment as he walked out to the middle, because the spectators were starting to see those runs dwindle down, and there wasn't going to be enough time for Brevis. But he's in now.
He's in,
and he's got just 1 ball of this Darcy Short over
very
to
yellow
face.
pads as well. It's a different kind of shade of yellow to the Hampshire colours.
22 required, short bowls, and he passes his edge. First ball.
Do you know what? He's sort of got his left leg out of the way there, and I remember I listened to Kevin's interview with him last week, and he said whether it's the first ball or the last, if it's there to hit, I'll hit it for 6. And he planted his front foot there, and I thought, oh, here we go, is he gonna? And then he sort of reined himself in there. So, yeah, as I said, there was a fair few people leaving their seats. I can see they're coming back now. So this is nice for the crowd. You know, 22 runs. If Brevis can hit a couple of out the park, then they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as it's the home side winning, they won't care too much. But it's not been a wildly entertaining game, it has to be said. Just not enough runs in the first innings. I mean, almost the case that even the home fans, whilst they wouldn't have been cheering Gloucestershire boundaries at all at the back end of that innings, that have actually wanted a few more runs on the board just for there to be enough for their side to have a good go at. Ben Charlesworth into the attack.
Yeah, here we go. First look at him today. Charlesworth comes into the main man, Albert. He's driven into extra cover to Jack Taylor. Tell me about Graham Van Buren. I saw he's got some runs against Wales. Gloucester did a sort of a mixture game with I guess a few second team players, a few guys on the periphery.
Yeah.
He got 88 or 57 balls.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he was actually a part of Gloucestershire's plans even into the quarter-final last year and missed the quarter-final due to illness.
He's driven into the leg side as Albert's going to push for 2 here. Brevis is quick, but I'm pretty sure he's going to want to keep this strike. And he hits the stumps from the boundaries, Ollie Fry. Yeah, so
you know, he was going to actually play in the quarter-final, and then they stuck with the same side in the semi-final and the final with Tom Price playing. But this year, I think with Darcy Short as the overseas rather than Bo Webster, you've got an extra spinning option there anyway, so it does make the path to the side a little bit harder. But
when you
know,
think
Gloucestershire
you're struggling for runs,
yeah, that's the thing. Now you've had 2 performances in a row where there's been,
I think you might see him in the
very
side
few runs scored. They're going to have to do something potentially. Yeah.
Right, here we go. Charlesworth into Brevis, knocks it into the leg side for no run. So very watchful, but even that with a no, he's extrovert, he's energetic, he's almost Marnus Labuschagne-like, where he's no run. You know, he's really, you can see the energy he has in the field. He's really brought that into his batting as well, which is exciting. That's what everybody wants to see when you come to T20. Flamboyancy as Charlesworth comes in again, deep in the crease, just flicked it off. It's just gapped. It's just dropped short of mid-wicket, and I'm afraid for Gloucestershire that has been, I guess, the way of this innings has gone, hasn't it? It's been 3 or 4. It's just dropped short of the fielder or in the gap, and as I said, everything seemed to go to Benny Howell's hands earlier with the 4 catches, and that brings up the 100 for Hampshire in 13 overs. 20 to win off 38 as Charlesworth comes in. A good over so far, 2 off 4. As I say that, Albert rocks back, or just I think it's just short, 4 runs. And that was very, very good from Toby Albert. Just on the back foot, waited for this slower ball and just knocked it down the ground for one bounce for.
Held the pose as well.
He did, yeah, he liked that, didn't he? Sign of the man who's enjoying himself tonight. He'll probably want to be taking this wicket wherever he wants. He'll be the only player here who probably wants to do that, but Charlesworth's looking to get through out of this over with a 1 or a dot here. And that's 4 runs again, and that is superb. Short, wide, but still you have to put it away, and Toby Albert's done that in some sublime, really. That was like a rocket off his bat, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely rifled backward of point, and it was short and wide, but we've not seen a great deal of delivery speed to the boundary quite like that, and that wasn't in the air for that long either, and that has
the deep cover fielder did not even move there. I think maybe you hear sides when the floodlights come on, it obviously skids on, there's a dew on, so maybe that may have made the wicket a little bit quicker, do you think?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to give Gloucestershire a way out here.
No, I think the ball has done a little bit less for them this innings, but then they also did win the toss and decide to bat first.
True.
So
yeah,
if that were a factor, then no, I don't know really. I think it continues to be the case as short bowls to Brevis slammed along the floor down to long on for just a single, a theatrical signal at that.
Yeah, Gav's getting excited again with Brevis is on strike.
11 and he's got a grin on his face away to our left. I can't tell if he's shivering with excitement or just cold. Here comes short. The bowl's a very slow delivery, which is nudged towards mid-wicket.
You're right,
Short
though.
will slide, it'll just be a single.
I guess maybe Taylor thought, you know, the same wicket as last week, 230 runs for the men, over 200 for the ladies. You think, oh, it's obviously a belter, but it's been under the covers for at least, you know, all day yesterday. I would have thought as well. With loads of rain. You think bowl first? Yeah, I don't know. It's easy to say now, isn't it?
Short to Brevis, who goes for a huge reverse hit over backward point and misses it.
Look at all those people over there down the right. They've left their seats. They're standing. They're just waiting for Hampshire to get these 10 runs or Brevis to get out. I think they're. Hopefully Brevis can give them something here.
10 to win. Short bowls, drags it down, mashed away over the leg side. Huge six. I mean, it doesn't actually even carry to the seats, but that's just a mark of how far away that stand is. That's got to be a good 90 metres.
So they brought the boundary in quite a long way because we're so far on the right hand side, and that's still nearly gone into the stand that side. But the feet and the way he got himself into position there, and all those kids down there with the balls just landed just short of them. Thank you, Dewall Revis, because you've made their day.
There's only 4 to win. As short bowls, and Brevis won't get the winning runs in one go.
I'm going to jump off now and let Kev have this hurrah, hurrah.
Thanks very much, Anthony. 1 run is taken down to long on, and 117 for 3 runs required, and this is pulled away out through mid-wicket, and that will go to the boundary, and that is the end of the game. Hampshire have won with 5 overs to spare. They have won by 7 wickets, and Kevin James, that is about as comprehensive as it gets.
Well, it was, wasn't it, really? It just shows, and I think it's proving that Hampshire really are in really good form, not just batting-wise, but bowling-wise as well. They've completely outplayed Gloucestershire here this evening. And Toby Albert, I mean, his innings here last week against Essex kind of went under the radar a little bit, but he showed actually how to bat on this wicket. I think Gloucestershire didn't quite master it. I think Hampshire did bowl well, but Toby Albert, absolutely superb knock here this evening. Yeah,
I mean, again, you know, as we've said multiple times, really, Albert's the one innings that really stands out, even in amongst Hampshire's innings there. James Vince is 17, the next top scorer, and actually you take Albert out and the top order of Hampshire's looks quite similar to Gloucestershire's. It's just that Albert really did find timing where nobody from Gloucestershire did, and well, you know, there's I suppose again a little bit of a gap now for Gloucestershire again to their next fixture on Friday, and they really will be scratching their heads, I think, after this one, because, you know, first 2 games, especially the first one, was quite close. You're going to have probably at some point a bit of a clunker at some point in your campaign, but 2 clunkers is much cause for concern. And whilst, you know, the game, and you start to wonder what's gone wrong, and to be honest, I find it a bit hard to put my finger on a particular evening. That again, it's just felt as though they've not been quite at it, and you could see that even in the field a little bit. And whilst I mentioned earlier, you don't want to overanalyse the fielding too much, because reason they at it, and you know, but it's a quick turnaround.
For Hampshire, 3 defeats from 3 for Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire bowled out for 119 with 1 over to spare. There was 3 wickets there for John Turner, who finished with 3 for 28. And Hampshire, in reply, reaching their target, 120. What was it? 121 for 3. with 5 overs. That's 30 balls remaining. Star of the show, Toby Albert, with a career best T20 innings of 73 not out, playing in his 42nd match. His previous high score was 66. His 73 coming off 44 deliveries with 8 fours and 4 sixes. James Vince with 17, Joe Weatherly with 12, and there was still time for a huge 6 from Diovolt Brevis, the young South African batting star. He finishes with 9 not out. Hampshire will stay top of the South Group. Thank you very much, Ed Seaborn.
Thank you, Kevin.
See you again in the return
fixture,
for sure later on in Bristol. Thank you also to Anthony Clapham, who's done his first T20 commentary tonight. So he's been doing championship games with us, but he wanted to come down, do some commentary, see Brevis bat. We just about saw enough of him to make it worth his while. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll sign off here with a comprehensive 7-wicket victory for Hampshire.